Hi there, this is Martin Popoff, scribbler of 85 heavy metal books and host of History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff podcast. When I need to get my Kiss fix, I listen to Shout It Out Loudcast with Tom and Zeus. Listen to us both on the Pantheon Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcasts. Check them out.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Shout It Out Loudcast. Don't turn your radio dial. You're in the right place because it's time for another bonus episode. Episode number 10. We are calling this one, Just Eat This Rotten Apple and Don't Give Me No Excuses. Zeus, Tommy, how are you?
Oh, I'm great, Sonny. Thanks for that intro. It's so exciting. And I do like how you continue to refer to people's radio dials. I like that. I like that aspect. And the other thing I want to jump in right now before we even get started. Let's thank our friend Tony from Restrained for our intro music, because every week we forget, and we're not forgetting this week. So welcome Zeus and Sonny, and thank you, Tony.
Damn.
Yes. Hi, gentlemen. Yes. Thank you, Tony. You rock. We appreciate it. It's funny because, Tom, I remembered it too, and I was just about to say it. Okay, and then good. Next time, we'll both forget.
Yeah, exactly. If he gets it every other episode, that's good for him.
I got a bone to pick with both of you.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even know this is coming.
Oh, no.
So I had to follow Ambassador Scott Brown in his Kiss Shrine, and now I got to follow Carrie Stephen in the chin implants. You guys suck.
Yeah.
Hey, really? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, well, you interviewed Carrie before us, so it's kind of royalty here, you know?
Yeah. In person.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got a hug. Oh, yeah, I'm the only one that got a hug between the three of us. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't know what else happened on that Skype call, so.
Yeah, I heard something about banging one out.
Yes, that would be me. So the other thing we do have to mention, though, about our friend Tony is he's got a new album coming out.
Yep.
Right? Restrain has a new album coming out. And when it does come out, we will sure promote it and send it out there to you guys to take a listen. We hope it's good. We're not going to tell you it's good without listening to it. But we have heard a few tracks, and those tracks are pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, maybe we'll do it a bonus episode. Maybe not.
Oh, you maybe talk to us again.
No, but that is true. We talk about Tony and Restrained all the time, so definitely check him out. His band's on all the social media, so check him out. He posts clips and the music sounds terrific. So
yes, and the best part of that band is the guitar work. We have to admit.
Oh, Tony shreds. Oh, and Tony looks much better bald like me, because he posted a picture of when he had hair, and I said he looked like fucking Klaus from the Scorpions.
He was looking for that look.
What do you have, a skullet look going, like the Gallagher look? Hi, listen to this solo. In the middle of the solo, he takes his guitar and smashes watermelons onto his face.
I was there it was a time thing. It was a time frame thing. Because what he didn't put on that picture was, it's like the late 80s.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like he was doing that yesterday. But,
right. Oh, right. How did the first 10 minutes of this episode become a Restrained bonus episode?
Who, Gallagher?
God. All right.
Oh, man. Well, we're coming off a nice episode we did last month, and that was Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz. I would say, at least social media wise, that was our most interactive episode. You guys seemed to love it. There was a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people thought Sonny was insane. A lot of people thought he was absolutely dead right on. and the feedback was just overwhelming. It was there was a ton there. We always start off with our polls, and our poll about basically what was the best song, right, Tom?
Yes. So 4 options. We did Suicide Solution, Mr. Crowley, Crazy Train, and I Don't Know. And just by a fraction, Crazy Train was 33%, Mr. Crowley 32%, I Don't Know 22%, and Suicide Solution coming in last at 13%. So no surprise that Crazy Train won, although I am surprised that it didn't run away with it. I thought that would smoke the vote, and I was surprised it beat out Mr. Crowley by only 1%. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, Suicide had no chance. No guitar solo, no chance.
Yeah. I know Zeus wanted Revelation Mother Earth as an option in there, but we're going to get to, when we get to feedback, Zeus was redeemed because, wow, there is a whole contingent of Revelation Mother Earth people out there.
Because they know a great guitar fucking bit when they hear it. And I was the one who said I thought Mr. Crowley was going to pull it off. I thought Fatigue on Crazy Train would really put it down. But it obviously came close because you guys thought it would run away.
Yeah.
Mr. Crowley's just epic as well. The solo.
Yeah, it is. The solo.
Exactly. Let's start off with Sonny. Sonny, we got feedback on Facebook. Let's go with that.
So Facebook, Jack Pinocchio. This was quite possibly the best album review to date out of all the Kiss and bonus episodes. The in-depth review itself was perfect. Smashed it out of the park again, guys. And to Hollywood's new Adam and Eve voice, love the Stephen Hawking impression. I didn't even know I was doing that. I was trying to be a robot, but I did the same thing.
Well, Stephen Hawking. What the fuck? Oh, my God.
When I listen back to it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess it was.
Oh, that is awful.
Scott Wheeler said, love the bonus episode. I wore this record out back in the day. Had to laugh at your take on Crazy Train and it being too poppy and not heavy. It's that upbeat pop melody that's made this song endure for so long and accessible to so many. Keep up the great work and album reviews. Kevin Jepson says, get the flaps out. I don't know.
Snapper flaps? What did he say?
Yeah. Daniel People said, no bone movies. Like whatever you like, however you like it. But how did this end up on Tribute and Over the Mountain didn't? Inconceivable. I agree. Steve,
yeah, that's a good point. I like No Bone movies, but the fact that it made it on Tribute over the Mountain is bizarro.
Agreed. Yep. Stephen Wright said, our buddy said, blah album. Virgil Stay said, I'm going.
Okay, hold on. Wait, back up. I got to call out our buddy Steve from Hotter Than Hell. On what planet is Blizzard of Oz blah?
This is coming
from the guy that does episodes on Halloween. I mean, come on, Steve.
Virgil Stay said, I'm going off the rails on Shout It Out Loudcast. That was pretty cool.
All right.
Scott Donaldson. Hey, guys, another killer episode. Never really got into Ozzy or Sabbath that much, but really enjoyed hearing the backstories of this album. No doubt the world missed out on something special with the passing of Randy Rhoads, but at least we are able to listen to the magic for generations to come. Daniel Peoples also said, maybe I have no idea what About is, but doesn't Sabbath changes not apply? I don't think I know that song.
Oh, yeah. It became like a number one hit in England. Remember he redid it with his daughter?
Oh, no. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that song either. Yeah. All right, so Jepson. Another excellent show, stellar record. The story I heard about No Bones movies was Sharon would go to the tour bus and tell the guys, No Bone movies. LOL, I'm shocked how much Zeus loved Revelation. Here's my ranking. 9D, but love it. 8 was No Bone movies. 7 was Revelation. 6 was Goodbye to Romance. 5 Crazy Train. 4 Steal Away. 3 Suicide Solution. 2 Mr. Crowley. And 1 I Don't Know. Keep up the great entertainment. Fuckos.
Oh, there you go. Love that.
And that was Facebook.
Okay. So yeah, I'll take, we got some emails. We got a lot of email feedback here. Some of them were short and sweet. Some of them were hit parader articles that I will try to paraphrase. So we start off with our good friend Tony Smith. Just finished the Blizzard of Oz episode. Toward the end, you guys were talking about different shows to check out. And while the discussion was going, my brain was thinking, here's a question. Netflix does a series about Shout It Out Loudcast. who is playing you? And please include who would play Mr. Pooney, who hates Revelation Mother Earth. All right, we'll do a separate episode on who's playing the Shout It Out Loudcast. But then we got Dan the Man, also known as Twitter handle I Love It Louder, who I think we've confirmed it's not a Pooney burner account. So he says, yes, Tom, Revelation is pretty similar to Elton John's Funeral for a Friend. I can't believe there's somebody actually out there that agrees with me and knows that song. Just like A Day in the Life by the Beatles, 2 different songs put together. Can't believe I agree with Zeus, but I do. Also agree with Zeus that No Bone Movies doesn't fit here. It's pretty bad pop metal from the early 80s. And no, Sonny, this does not sound like rock and roll. Maybe if rock and roll had a slower, less balls to the walls, it would be No Bone Movies. And here is some controversy. I prefer the live version of Mr. Crowley with Zakk Wylde. Ooh, controversy. Ooh. And then he does his rankings. Then he says, looking forward to the next episode. I likely know more silly trivia than Stuart, and I aced the second Jeopardy with Hollywood. Oh, God. Ooh. Nice. We got Jerry Blackwell. It is a great album, but I think I have to agree with Sonny. No Bone Movies and Revelation are pretty bad. I mean, no disrespect to Randy, but those 2 songs could have been better. By the way, I have tried the show Succession. It's really good. Okay. Was that one of your rock hard topics there, Sonny?
It was Zeus's.
Oh, okay, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. And then we got our buddy Stephen Wood, who I love Stephen. He's so interactive with us. He has a career in writing rock music articles because his email is great. He said, I think this episode has been my favorite of the bonus episodes so far. The variety of opinion is always entertaining, and I know this album very well. I had no idea that this album even existed in 1980. I didn't even know Ozzy had a post-Sabbath career. At the time, I was a Kiss fan and was also in touch with some acts like the Village People. I knew about Black Sabbath through my sister's record collection. And then he goes on, talks about his history with the album and his rankings. He says he's intimately familiar with the album. He can play many of Randy's riffs on guitar. Wow, good for you, man. That's amazing. And then he does his track by track. He says, looking forward to the next choice. By the way, I still haven't listened to the bonus episodes for OU812, Slide It In, or Bon Jovi. I'm not as familiar with those albums. I want to form my own opinion before I hear them. Then this is great. You only need another 8 theme songs to go with Jack Pinocchio and Joey Casada, and then you can launch an official Shout It Out Loudcast soundtrack. We got Doug Middleton. I'm sure that you will hear that Diary of a Madman is better than Blizzard of Oz, and I will say that it's true. I'll also say that Ozzy's voice being annoying as getting pegged or finding out that your woman is actually a man in drag. Randy is a god, but only the 3 classic songs are really listenable. I would suggest doing an album that involves a female lead vocalist. This would be really interesting. You guys should have a karaoke sing-off. I can say all 3 of you are better than Ozzy. Oh, God. That's bad. I agree with This is from Teddy Barnes. I agree with Hollywood. Half is great, the rest is okay or unlistenable. Revelation sucks. Mic drop. You guys are always great. Thanks for what you do. And we got one from Kevin Northern. You guys have been killing it with the episodes lately. The show keeps getting better and better. Just finished the Blizzard of Oz episode, and now every time I hear Mr. Crowley, I'll be singing, Mr. Pooney.
Doom, doom, doom.
I was wondering, since you talk about fatigue factor a lot, if you thought about doing a top 10 fatigue factor song episode. Ooh, that would be interesting. This is from our buddy Fat Man on Guitar. That's his Twitter handle, also known as Alan Tignanelli. Oh, there's an Italian guy. We might have to create a theme song for him. Bonus episode on Blizzard of Oz. This is an album I really like. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Randy Rhoads is a huge influence on me as a guitarist. We used to play several songs off this album back when I was in a band. Then he gets into some really big detail about the album. He says, but Revelation, Mother Earth, sorry, I'm with Zeus here. This song is absolutely epic. It's one that, to me, lends credence to the Blizzard is a band idea. Aside from being a dramatic, atmospheric tune, it's also a showcase for the instrumentalists. The outro segue into Steal Away the Night is just awesome to behold. That's not something sidemen get to do. Then he says, I disagree with Sonny about D. Back in those days, it was fairly common for guitarists, especially hotshot guitarists, to have short instrumentals on albums, especially acoustic ones, to show that they were more than just balls and flash. Then he says, I've read Bob Daisley's book and a few other things. It seems pretty clear that he and Randy did the bulk of the writing, with Bob doing the lyrics and most of the arranging. The music is primarily Randy. You can hear some of that stuff in his Quiet Riot music. And then he gives us his rankings. So a lot of emails, tons of feedback, great stuff as always. Thank you. If I didn't get to read everybody's long emails, we appreciate them. We had read them, but we appreciate the time and the involvement for sure. So Zeus, we got Twitter.
Yeah. Before I do that, I think we also got to do Podchaser.
Oh, okay.
So Podchaser, Aces High, playing a bit of catch up, but really glad you guys reviewed Oz. It's a terrific album. I do have to agree somewhat that Ozzy should just stop singing slow songs. Casa de Leon. Mr. Crowley's the best song on the album. Ozzy ballads should all be erased from existence.
Okay.
What's the song that I really love off Bark at the Moon that you guys love to shit on me about?
Is this So Tired?
I love that song.
Oh my God, it's brutal.
I'm happy to admit I don't even know that song because I never got into that album.
Don't even try it.
Okay. I love that song. Go listen to it, guys, and go watch the video if you can find it. But you know what? Before we even get to anything, Tom, we didn't have any YouTube comments on that because of all the stuff that we've ever put on YouTube.
Yes, good point.
Ozzy's the only one that YouTube said copyright, can't put this shit on.
Yep.
Everybody else says, oh, you can't monetize and things like that on YouTube. But Ozzy was the only one that we didn't get to do it. Fucking no one's going to make any money off of Ozzy except for me. You fucking pieces of shit.
It's true. Yeah. We've done 8 other bonus episodes, and that was the first one where it got totally blocked. Unbelievable.
Yeah. That's from Podchaser. Remember to give us those 5-star child reviews on podchaser.com. Anyways, Twitter. Let's get through these ones rather quickly. Blizzard of Oz got tons of reaction. The great Jock Pinocchio, as I think someone may have read one of his earlier, you'll feel like you're going off the rails on a crazy train with Mr. Crowley with this great CD review. Mark Ink John 84.
Love that
Tom
name.
loves them.
Yeah. So great. So creative.
Listen today, Diary is better, but there's some definite classics on this album.
A lot of people said that. A lot of people like Diary better.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
When I think Jericho did their album clash, I think they all picked Diary.
Yeah.
The whole group picked Diary over Blizzard, which I don't understand.
Me neither.
Bill Elam, great episode. Thanks to the slams on Pandemic Paul pegging, Sonny's Adam and Eve plug starts off Ben Stein and slowly transform into Rosie the Robot Maid.
Is that from the Jetsons?
Yeah, he's got a gif of the Jetsons.
Oh God,
maid.
Yep.
Zeus does quite an excellent Sharon Osbourne impression. Maybe he should audition for looping for the new Ozzy pick. Yeah, that's so easy. Just screeching. Oh, you shut the fuck up. Murph, excellent episodes, gents. Highly entertaining as always. This coming from a non-Ozzy fan, based on hard rock hard recommendations. Have to ask, when is Sonny starting his 37th podcast, The Power Hour?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, for show, The Power Hour.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ain't got no time for that.
Uncle Paulie, on behalf of Tom's Heart, thank you for these rankings. I literally think I heard only one wow and only one oh boy during the entire track rankings from him. Love the episodes. Thanks, gents. Great album. Almost as good as Diary of a Madman. I don't
get that. I honestly don't. I mean, Diary of a Madman's good, but I don't know. That's. I don't know if people like the sound of the album better, but we'll save that for another time.
I heard the guitar is like
it's different.
It's technically like over the top.
Yeah,
like musicianship is incredible.
Yeah,
I just don't. To my ears,
I just don't think the songs are better than Blizzard. Yeah.
Harper at Sunny Pooney. You don't like Goodbye to Romance? What the fuck, man? I'm kind of pissed right now over this.
I could say it back. You like Goodbye to Romance? What the fuck, man?
The song is average.
And then you two are going back and forth. And at one point he says, I do agree with you about instrumentals, though. 100%, man.
Oh boy. Well, we got one today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tom Dust. I almost had to turn this episode off when Sonny proceeded to critique Revelation Mother Earth.
Oh.
Thankfully, Tom stepped in to soften the blow before Zeus fully saves the episode. Well done, Zeus. Shame on you, Poonie.
Shame, shame, shame.
How dare you? How dare you?
I'm shocked and pleasantly surprised for Zeus's benefit how many people like legitimate the song is okay, but people were like
the guitar, Tom. It's not just this. Like if it was just a song, Mother, like if it was just and it stopped there, I'd be like, I'd be like, it's around Good Value to Romance. I would have left it there. It's the second half, buddy.
Yeah. Agreed.
George Harker, great bonus episode. Found a pristine vinyl copy, nerds, at a thrift shop for $2 to replace my worn copy I got as a kid. Love the images, especially the music. Zeus is right. So many iconic and high-quality songs. Steve DeWood, just finished listening. I have a lot to say. I will send an email with my usual rambling guff.
And he did.
JR, cover reminded me of nuns at Catholic school I went to.
Yep.
Our Ladies or Perpetual Pain. I thought it was a religious album, so I offered Crazy Train as a morning prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Michael Kerner put up, I still have this. Does anybody remember this gem? And it was the live EP, which is like impossible to find.
Wow.
Ozzy had done. And great guitarist from Fozzy, Richie Ward, says, I have it as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a collector's edition. You can't find, like, I would look for it on CD, which you can't have because this came out in like 81, 82.
Right.
Graham Richley, nuts. Because of you guys, I'm going to have to go and buy another album. My first Ozzy. But RR is the real star. Amazing talent. Highlight of the episode was Tom singing Mr. Pooney.
Again with that. Yep.
At the end. Made me choke on my breakfast.
Uh-oh.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, we don't want anybody getting sick or hurt.
Yes. And a good friend who's got a new podcast on our network.
The Neil Young podcast?
Thank you. Bye.
Mike Shue.
Yep. And he comes in and comments, great WCOZ reference in this episode.
Yes. Boston,
love
baby.
Yep. And Mike is, he's got the Neil Young. I'm not a big fan of Neil Young, but a lot of people are, so go give them a listen. Steve, such a great album, probably his finest, some amazing songs, and arguably some of the greatest guitar work ever put on vinyl. Great episode guy. Another inspired choice. Love all of these. He ranked it, and then he ranks, him and Deuce both do this, where they are with regard to covers and albums we've reviewed so far.
Nice.
Sean Hammond, always good for a good story.
Yep.
Summary of a long story. Friday after grade 5, girl classmate asked if I heard about Ozzy. I was metal that young. He just bit off the head of a bat. That night, same cousin that played me Kiss the first time played me I Don't Know and Crazy Train. Rest is history. Still a fan.
Nice.
That's it from Twitter.
Great. Awesome. We love the feedback. Love the feedback.
One last thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Mark Ain't John did come back one more time and did say this. Anybody who doesn't profess their undying love for Revelation should not be allowed to ever talk about music ever again in any way, period. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, peg it, suck it, whatever.
So what we've confirmed here is that Mark Ain't John is the first Zeus burner account on Twitter.
Yes. But he did put in hashtag one too many vodka tonics.
Okay. All right, there you go. Good for him.
Vodka tonics are brutal. I tried that when I was drinking. It's not good.
No.
When I was drinking.
When I was drinking.
And I was drinking.
Oh, God. I'm drinking coffee right now because it's Sunday morning while we're recording. So yay us.
Yay.
And before we get into the episode here, what do we do first there, Mr. Pooney?
Well, here, you can swing on this.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Free stuff. You like it? Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff to spice up your bedroom is even better. Select almost any one item for 50% off, and then Adam and Eve loads on the free stuff. Enter promo code Loudcast at checkout and get 10 tantalizing free gifts. A sexy item for him, a special gift for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy, and 6 free spicy movies. Plus free shipping. That's promo code Loudcast at adamandeve.com. Go ahead and bang out to that.
Oh, boy. Wonderful. Thank you, Sonny, for that wonderful read.
Yep. So this is Tom's turn in the rotation. We just did a group pick, and it goes Tom, Sonny, then me. Tom, you picked Jar of Flies. We usually start these episodes with our first interaction with the album, how we got to know it, how we became friends with it, started dating it. Please go right ahead. You start.
Okay. So like Zeus said, we personal picks. So Zeus and I, if you've listened to our show long enough, the bonus episodes or even the Shout It Out Loudcast, the Kiss episodes, this is our wheelhouse. We were in college at the birth of grunge. We were in college for just grunge when it was at its peak. I picked this album for a number of reasons that we're going to get into track by track and just generally speaking. So of all the albums that we've picked, very few, if any, although I love most of them, have an effect on me and a connection with me the way that this album does. When the album came out, it came out in the spring semester of our junior year, came right after holiday break, came out in January, and it just became a soundtrack for the second half of our college life. And what the album means to me, just nostalgia-wise, but sonically speaking, it's an album that's unique to me. It's an emotional album for me. I'm going to get into that when we get to the track by track. The album just means so much to me musically, nostalgia, memory. It reminds me of my best friends. It reminds me, I was dating the woman who became my wife when this album was popular. She loves it too. And it's an album that I listen to all the time. And it's just a very important album and piece of music for me for a variety of reasons that I'm excited to talk about. And I know Alice in Chains may have more heavier albums, obviously Dirt and Facelift, all those albums. But this album right here is just a very special piece of music for me. And I can't wait to talk about it.
Sonny.
For me, I started college in 1987. When I finished is a long, long story. So the grunge thing is tougher for me because in the 90s, music is changing and my music is headed on the way out and this stuff's headed on the way in. I've said it before, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, STP is probably, for me, the bridge between hair metal and grunge. So it was listenable to me, especially Alice, because the dual vocal melodies, Jerry's guitar playing had me hooked. I loved Facelift. I loved Dirt. But I'll tell you honestly, I bought this album the week it came out. I listened twice and never listened to it again till 3 weeks ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this was sitting in my CD collection, and I had not touched it for basically,
20 years?
5 years?
Okay. That's good.
I feel bad for you that you haven't had this in your life.
I don't. But
okay.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Okay.
Oh, my God. All right. So, same for me. This is one of those albums. Like Blizzard of Oz wasn't my pick, but it became my number one album. This wasn't my pick, but we'll see where this ranks. But I could have easily picked this.
Yep.
So, number one, I love my Kiss. I love my hair metal. But I also love my grunge alternative 90s stuff. This, in addition to coming out during, might be the greatest music explosion in my life. 1994 was incredible. It was also, it came out during my favorite fucking year of any probably school time I ever had, other than maybe senior year in high school, I could do whatever the fuck I want to do in my high school.
Junior
year at Stonehill College is beyond legendary for all of us.
Yep.
We all lived together. We were so disruptive that this school came up with a never before used formula to not just, they didn't throw us all out because they couldn't, because we kind of banded together, but they had to separate us in blocks of 4 after this year. They couldn't have more than 4 of us in this suite, this basement suite of what was called Flynn Hall. And blocks of 4, we couldn't live together. So, Tom, sorry, senior year, you had to live across the courtyard from me, basically 200 feet.
Dude, it was like 25 feet.
But we couldn't live in the same building afterwards. It was the greatest year. I can't, the stories that you guys have heard from Shout Out Loudcast, you guys will probably hear a million more because there are a million more of them. But it was the greatest year. Me and Tom were, we still had our kiss. We were still watching, because I remember it so well, extreme close-up on the big TV that we rented for the basement, and all the other people in the fucking suite, including people like Murph, like, what the fuck is this kid shit that we kept playing? But me and him were exploding with new bands and new favorite albums, and all these albums that are like coming out that become legendary later were just getting released. And we still had the first couple of grunge albums that just had come out, still being blasted. We were still playing 10, Nevermind, Core, all that stuff was coming out. And then 94 hit, and all of a sudden, what started 94 and the explosion? Jar of Flies. I remember in Tom's room listening to this. I remembered it in mine. It gives me such a nostalgic feeling of college. And now that it's September, I even love it more that we're reviewing this. The mood this album puts me in, of like, all of a sudden the nights, it's getting darker around 6 and 7 o'clock, leaves rustling, and this album, that melancholy feeling, I can't explain it, but Tom is shaking his head. He knows what I mean. And when we played this, and the big 5 disc change players, when we played the 5 CDs we put in, chances are Jar of Flies was one of the CDs in there. This has a huge sentimental tug on my heart going at all times. Constantly played by me all the time. I can't say enough about Jar of Flies, and it's a great pick. So.
And I think, and thank you for that, because that's exactly what me and you are thinking. And, and I'm glad, I won't say I'm glad. I like the fact that when we do these bonus episodes, especially the individual picks, that not all 3 of us are on the same page. And that's why when we do the group picks, that's exactly, they're albums that all 3 of us are huge fans of. The individual picks are interesting. And I like the fact that Sonny is kind of on an island here, because I appreciate like differing perspectives. And like, again, the age, there's a couple years between us in age, and we've talked about it before, where you are and when you are in life has such a tremendous effect and impact on that music. And like Zeus said, you combine arguably the greatest year of our teenage lives with arguably one of the greatest eras of music for us with this album. And you put this album on now, and it's just, it affects me like really no other album. And that includes Kiss albums. A perfect example. So in preparation for this, I've said it before, I'm a vinyl geek. I bought the brand new remastered 180 gram vinyl of Jar of Flies. And I was home alone last night. My son was out with his friends. My wife was doing something. I'm downstairs in the basement, and I had it blasting. I was just sitting down, taking notes for the episode, just listening to it. And I had the stereo all the way up. I was home alone. I felt like a kid again. And it was perfect, because my wife comes downstairs, and she looks at me and she goes, "Where am I? Stonehill right now?" she said it. She said it. And it was just perfect timing. She goes, "Every time I hear anything of this album, it's junior year at Stonehill." And just like Zeus said, and this is who I was dating her at the time. Obviously, we ended up we're married 19 years next month. But even she's like, yeah, I can't hear this album. I can't hear these songs without me imagining Stonehill. So that's what it is, And again, I know we've done Soundgarden before. Grunge is one of those love it or hate it. There's not a lot of people that are like, yeah, grunge is okay. It's either I can't stand it or you're like Zeus and I, where you're just passionate about it. I think it's going to be a fun episode. Only 7 songs. One of them is an instrumental. So who knows how long this episode will be, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And we've talked about it before. Like if you think about where music was in 74, 79, 84, 89, 94, it's 5 completely different generations of music. There's
insane.
Absolutely no doubt, right?
Yep.
So, and I'm a big believer, whatever you listen to between like 14 and 20 is probably where you go back to. I'm in my mid-20s by the time this comes out.
Exactly.
Right. So that's why I have a different spin on it. But
yep.
That's why it's nice to there's some classic albums, though, like you said, when we have the group pick, that it doesn't matter whether you were into it at 74 or 94, it somehow spreads all over. But there's some that don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say this, Sonny, you were out of college by this point. Imagine if you were in college with your best of friends in 94, living, with another year or so to go, having 10, Nevermind, and all these come out during your time. I'm sorry, but you would probably think different of the grunge era and those bands. You would still have your other stuff, but if you were there and the people that you live with every day in the parties you would go to were playing this stuff, you would probably have a different, you'd feel differently, in my opinion. Because that's what you grew up with and that's what you came accustomed to. It's different when you're out. That's why I never got into afterwards the corns and shit like that, because I'm not with my friends blasting this music. It didn't appeal to me as much. That was the era that kind of came right after the grunge era. And so I didn't get into Limp Bizkit and shit like that. That's where these guys fall in for you, I think. But Alice in Chains was a little earlier and they did have a little metal sound. So that's why it kind of goes a little bit in your wheelhouse. So
yeah, we're still.
Go ahead, Sonny. I'm sorry.
We are still learning about each other. I started college in 87. Yeah, I wasn't out by 94.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You were on the Vinnie Barbarino plan.
Oh yeah, because it took till 2008.
Hey, does it as long as you? But you did. Slow and steady wins the race, Sonny.
Hey guys, before we go on, I did a little quick thing on this.
Yeah,
I wanted to put this down on paper, and remember, I was saying there were other albums that were still on the charts, still being new because grunge was coming in. So older albums were starting to come out, and like we're starting to get into them now. Listen to some of these albums: Lives, Throwing Copper,
great album.
Cranberries, No Need to Argue.
Their first album is better than that.
I don't like Tori Amos, but her album was huge back then. The Crows soundtrack, Reality Bites soundtrack, Rollin' Bands' Wait, Purple by Stone Temple Pilots, Veruca Salt, Oasis had an album that just came out, Offspring Smash, which Tommy loves, REM's
fucking brutal.
Love that. That's coming up on our fucking review.
I'm skipping.
REM's Monster, Meat Puppets, Beck's Mellow Gold. Remember that one?
Awesome album.
Here you go, Tom. Beastie Boys, Ill Communication. PJ's Vitology, right?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Holes Lived Through This, Soundgarden, Super Unknown, Nirvana's Unplugged, Jeff Buckley's Grace, Weezer, 9 Inch Nail, Downward Spiral, Green Day, Dookie. I got a lot of these off of Rolling Stone's list. Of those albums, I don't know, I probably have like 15, 20 of them that I bought then. And they've been in my life.
I own 2.
I feel bad for you, as our friend Steve Wright would say.
It's true though. It's true. Like you said. I mean, when you're in college and you live in college and you're with this group of guys 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all you have is, with the exception of class that we're supposed to go to, all you have is music and video games. I mean, this was in the days of record stores. We would take trips to Brockton and go to Strawberries. We went there during the day because we didn't want to get killed at night.
Their high school could beat up our college.
Oh, God, absolutely. Absolutely. The high school was like the school from Lean on Me.
You smoke crack, don't you? You smoke crack, don't you? Look at me, boy. Don't you smoke crack?
I mean, but that's what it is. And Zeus, you said it perfectly. You get out of college, and then all of a sudden you're on your own. You know, you're either living in, maybe you're still living at home, maybe you have an apartment, you're starting to work, and your music, you're experiencing those new bands like by yourself. So it's like, okay, Korn, there's a couple good songs. Okay, whatever, Linkin Park, okay, a couple good songs, whatever. But it doesn't have that effect. Music ties you to people, and it ties you to times in your life. And that's why the three of us, music is so important in different ways. And there are certain albums that you listen to and you're like, I like this music, I like this album, I like this band, but it means nothing to me personally.
Yep.
Then you put on an album, for me, Jar of Flies, and it's like a punch in the stomach. It just brings me someplace. Yep. So I enjoy not the music, but I enjoy how the music makes me feel. And that's why I picked this album.
Great call.
Yep.
Guys, you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
Jar of Flies, released January 25th, 1994. So the band produced the album, but Toby Wright was the engineer. So they met Toby Wright because they did the Last Action Hero movie soundtrack, which is very good.
Great soundtrack.
They did 2 songs from there. They kicked out the former bassist, and they put Mike Inez in, and Mike Starr was out, right?
Yep.
So now they had just got a new bassist. They did a couple songs off of that and met the engineer, and they worked out a deal with him to say, like, you know what, why don't you come here? You won't produce this, but engineer us. And if we like what we feel, you can do the next, couple albums or whatever with us. And that's how they worked it. The idea was to go into London Bridge Studios and see what happens. Apparently they were on their Lollapalooza tour, came back, and someone forgot to pay the rent and they were evicted. So they just moved into the studio, London Bridge Studios, brought some acoustic guitars and said, what the fuck? Let's see if we can do something here. And out came Jar of Flies, which is insane. They told I think the record company or Toby that basically they had some songs, which they didn't. And Jerry, does his magic. Layne comes up with some lyrics. Jerry has his lyrics. And they produced Jar of Flies, recorded basically, I think, September 7th through the 14th in 1993. They released this album. It goes to number 1, the first EP ever to go number 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 30 minutes long because some of these songs are still kind of long. Sold 4 million copies, triple platinum in the U.S. Released on Columbia Records, and just continued the tradition. If you know about Alice in Chains, they had a tradition because they first came out with a small mini EP, which was We Die Young. They had like a couple songs on there, not much. But then they go to Facelift. Then they go to Sap, another EP, right? Then they go to Dirt. Then they go to another EP. And then they go to Three-Legged Dog or Self-Titled, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
They kept up this tradition of going. And then the last 2 EPs in between Sap, which I could easily pick as an album for us to review because I love that just as much as this one, is the acoustic side of them. They wanted to bring something different and do a little, expand themselves, not be limited to just the sound that they have. And they're talented enough and brilliant enough musicians to pull it off. At least I think so, and I think Tom thinks so. So that's some of the stuff I have to say. Tom, do you want to add some stuff?
Yeah, so it was interesting looking up the background on the production of this album. I didn't even realize, because you don't realize it at the time in the 90s. We were in college. But I was at that Lollapalooza tour. I saw Alice in Chains headline Lollapalooza because I used to go to all the Lollapalooza festivals every year. And that was the one that Alice in Chains played last, but I believe they co-headlined, might have been with Primus, I think. I remember at the end of the day, and anybody that's been to Lollapalooza, you know that they're awesome, but they are exhausting days. They're exhausting. And like any other festival, the best band plays last. And by the time the last band plays, you're exhausted. You're hot. You're dying. You might be shit-faced. You might be high. Who knows what the hell you were doing all day. But I do remember when Alice in Chains came on and played, it was it was insane. And to be able to have said that I saw them at a festival like that, and then they come back, and Sean Kinney even said, he's like, after playing loud music for so long, we wanted to come home. The last thing we wanted to do was crank up our amps right away. We wanted to have some downtime. And Zeus mentioned it. I like how they went between their brutally heavy, sludgy albums like Dirt. Then you make an EP. Then you come back and you make another album that's heavy. And like Zeus said, Sap is terrific. And anybody that's a vinyl collector and a Jar of Flies collector, if you buy Jar of Flies on vinyl, it's a double vinyl. And it includes Sap. So when I bought this,
listen to Right Turn off of Sap.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Tell me that's not probably their greatest song that they've ever done.
It's amazing.
With Layne and Chris Cornell trading off lyrics.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. And that's on this this double vinyl is Sap. But yeah, and going into the studio and not really having a plan. And these are the stories that I love. And you can tell I love seeing different sides of bands and listening to Facelift and listening to Dirt and how brutally heavy and sludgy they are. And then they put together this album that is just, it's amazing to use a word like this to describe Alice in Chains. But for me, this is one of the most beautifully sounding albums I've ever heard in my life. The acoustic instrumentation mixed in with the orchestra and the strings, it just hits me in a place that I just can't explain, which is one of the reasons why I picked this album. But Zeus kind of nailed a lot of those key points about what Alice in Chains was going through in that timeline, coming off Lollapalooza and then just kind of chilling in the studio. And then like he said, luck have it, they got booted from their place. They had to move into London Bridge Studios. And sometimes situations force you to figure things out. And holy shit, did they figure it out with Jar of Flies?
Yeah, I think, it's a universally praised album. There's no doubt about that. That whole thing about recording it quickly without having material already. There's focus, there's work ethic, just plain uber talent. There's no doubt about that. The whole thing I don't have a problem with acoustic albums at all. I love the light distortion guitar that's in it with the lead guitar. I love the way they mixed it all together. So that part absolutely worked for me. And I remember thinking, they got the Ozzy guy? Because I had seen in 30 months between October 90 and April 93, I saw Alice 6 times.
Good for you. Holy shit.
Once with Extreme, twice with Van Halen, twice with Ozzy. Like they were opening for a bunch of bands kind of coming through. And so I saw them a lot. And like I said, I enjoyed Facelift and Dirt. So I had no problem with going and buying an acoustic album. To me, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, it just, some of it translates to me. Not every great song sounds great acoustically, and some of it doesn't. And it's the level of whine in the vocal with a mix of the guitar and the solo has got to be kind of this recipe that works for me. And sometimes they add an ingredient and I'm like, all right, that doesn't work for me at all. Right. It's that close. If that makes sense.
A couple things I want to add. So the acoustic part is, a lot of it is, obviously the music is Jerry. So Tom brings up a part about beautiful sound. So it was Jerry Cantrell that came up with, envisioned and brought in these strings and envisioned basically, okay, we should have violins here and cello, whatever here in this section. He came up with that. And that's just pure genius. But he was always like, he's got such a big influence. So his big thing, like he loves AC/DC. He is a big Ace Frehley fan growing up, which, we as a Kiss podcast, but he's got a lot of love for Elton John as well. Wonder why Tom and I both love him. And the other part that he loves country music. He wasn't born in Seattle and stayed in Seattle his whole time. He moved out. He was out in Dallas for a while. So he's got a big country influence. Willie Nelson, my buddy George Jones, Hank Williams, Tammy Wynette, Loretta Lynn. He talks about these things. There's a great documentary. Have you ever seen The Icons? It's on YouTube. Yep. You can watch it. He does one for about an hour or so, just him talking about music. It's fucking awesome. And he talks about that. You got that country influence. You got the AC/DC, the Kiss, the Elton John. It's basically us, and mixed together. And And it's great on that documentary. He's like, I wanted a Les Paul. That was my guitar because that's what Ace Frehley played.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you get him moving into this, you get him playing this sound, and then, we'll talk about it, but that sound of an acoustic guitar, but it's an electric acoustic guitar when they're trying to make it sound not as electric. And I think they pulled it off. It's just, it's wonderful. I can't explain it. It's just, he knows how to hit that sound. And the only other thing I would say is, it's funny because we said this early and I wrote in my notes, I wanted to make a mention of this point, is this is grunge, but it was also called something else when we were growing up during this era. It was alternative music.
Mm-hmm.
And this was alternative metal, which I think is a better sounding way to describe this. It wasn't just the metal that was popular at that time. It's alternative metal.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's funny. The only other band that I can think of off the top of my head, and maybe there's somebody else out there, that was legitimately called alternative metal was the band Helmet. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band Helmet.
I remember. Yep.
That's one of the only bands I can think of. They weren't called grunge. They weren't new metal. They weren't alternative rock. They called them alternative metal, and they were, if you ever listen to Helmet. But you're right. That's a good call. They were, Alice in Chains. We talked about grunge a little bit before. Everybody got thrown into the grunge bowl. Okay, but Pearl Jam is not Alice in Chains, and Alice in Chains is not Screaming Trees, and they're not, Stone Temple Pilots. Like, they all sound different. And this album sounds completely different. And one of the key things that makes this album so spectacular is what you brought up a little bit, Zeus, talking about the acoustic sound. And they focused so much on that they wanted it to sound like an acoustic guitar instead of an electrified acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. And the sound I love acoustic songs. I love, MTV Unplugged. Stone Temple Pilots does a nice job. All those bands. But the acoustic sound on this album, it gives me chills when I hear some of these songs. And we'll talk about that when we do the track by track. Sonically speaking, I can't compare this album to anything else. And when I hear some of these notes being played, it's just so brilliant, the sound that they achieved with this. And that's just one of the reasons why I just love the album so much.
Yeah, after hearing Zeus say Elton John, country, AC/DC, now it kind of even makes more sense to me why all of it doesn't completely connect. Obviously, I'm a huge Kiss fan, but I like 80s Elton John. I like the I'm Still Standing, guess why they call it the blues Elton John? I don't like the other stuff. Country, I only like it when it crosses over to the pop charts. And I like some AC/DC, but I don't like all of it, right? So that makes me wonder, okay, that makes sense, because some of this stuff does connect, and I was humming it later. And some of it, I'm like, what the hell is this? Right? So it makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. And the big thing is when we talk about Alice in Chains, and we'll get into a lot of detail, is the harmonies, the legendary harmonies. That's country.
Yep.
That's where he probably gets that. Hey, you sing this, I'll sing just below you. You sing a little bit higher. Country, if you follow it a lot and listen to it, the background singing's the vocals, the harmonies you pick up on, the great session players. I think we talked about it recently with Vince Gill and the Eagles and how he can come in. He was a session harmony guy, things like that. In the way right now that Jerry and Layne's voice are, I can't think of anybody else, at least not from the grunge era. There is Eddie Vedder. There is Kurt Cobain. There is Scott Weiland. Chris Cornell. Kim Thayil's not doing harmonies with Chris Cornell. Nobody's doing this shit except these two. They are so far different than anybody else. And that is what gives Alice in Chains that. And I love harmonies. I love picking up who's singing what's part. And we did a whole episode on Kiss duets. And how come they never did more trade-offs between Paul and Gene and anybody else? We love that stuff. It is great. So, that's going to be a big focal point on this. And that's Alice in Chains in a nutshell. No pun intended.
Yeah. And that's a great point, Zeus. And I think not only do harmonies carry a song and make it special, But Layne's and Jerry's voices are so different and so unique and powerful in different ways that when they harmonize, generally speaking, this album has an amazing way of being so sad and so melancholy, but at the same time, it's uplifting and it's bright. And that combination of music, melody, and harmony, it creates just such a special sound. And to think that, this band is like the Alice in Chains, they're a grunge band. Not everybody's going to like it. Obviously, Sonny might not be a huge fan of this, and that's okay. But like I said it earlier, generally speaking, sonically, with the vocals and the instrumentation, it's just a special album. And I'm glad you brought up the harmonies because they're known for that. But holy shit, on this album, it's out of this world.
The one thing I just want to jump, and last thing I want to make a comment about this. That's why I'm a big fan of the Eagles. Yes. And they would always say, why isn't so-and-so singing a song? Because they can sing it because they have like 4 or 5 singers in the band, at least all throughout their history. I think they've had 7 or 8 guys sing songs for them. But like half the times Glenn Frey would say like, because we have Don Henley. Like that's why he's singing like his voice. So I think you would say, why are you singing any songs, Jerry? Layne could be, and you can argue for all of the grunge bands. No, Scott Weiland has the best voice. No, Chris Cornell does. Layne Staley, you can make an argument, has the best voice of that era. Yet Jerry still sings.
Yep.
And the best part about the story is that Layne was the one who's like, dude, you write these songs. You should sing them. And you have a good voice. And he lets them sing it. That they got along fine. They had no problem, no ego. The points when they're like, when it's just a Jerry song, and then all of a sudden on the chorus, all of a sudden Layne's voice comes in. I find it to be 3 voices, Jerry's, Layne's, and it's almost a different voice. When they combine their voices, it's like the mixed voice. That mixed voice is probably just as beautiful as the other 2 voices on their own. That third voice is insane.
Yep.
I can't explain it. And it's funny because sometimes you can't tell a little bit because of the guitar or something like, oh, is that? No, man, that's Jerry. That's definitely Jerry. That's Layne. And then you will see a video and you can see who's really singing what part and what's not. Sometimes, and it's just fantastic. And I love it because nothing is just plain. Okay, this is a Layne song. It's not always a Layne song. It's not always just a Jerry song. I love that part about Alice in Chains.
If you have not seen, and if you're an Alice in Chains fan, and hopefully you're listening to this and you are, but even if you aren't, go and watch their MTV Unplugged. I know, and I don't understand, and I'm not going to say it's bad, but I don't understand why everybody goes to the Nirvana MTV Unplugged. Yes, that's good. It is good. But this Alice in Chains Unplugged is out of this world. And you can see and hear in real time what we're talking about with that harmony and those acoustic sounds and what they're doing together. And it is just an amazing performance. And, and thankfully that's also available as a CD or a vinyl or whatever that the MTV Unplugged. They play most of this album, but they also play a lot of other stuff from their catalog. And one other thing too, we've talked about the acoustic stuff too, but the drumming too on this. You have to be careful when you're recording an album like this. You can't come in and be bombastic with your drums unless the song requires it. But the way Sean Kinney, a lot of times all he's using is brushes, and you can hear that, or sometimes he's hitting the side of the snare with a stick and giving it a little bit of a sound. You hear a lot. Some of the drums are a lot more pronounced in certain songs, and we'll talk about that. But the percussion in the album too, in conjunction with those acoustic the instruments and the strings, just putting it together, it's just amazing. And as a side note, before we get into the album cover, because we'll talk about album covers, but I just want to add one thing. If you didn't think Rolling Stone sucked already, this is number 42 on their top 50 grunge albums. I just had to get that out because that's fucking horrific.
Sonny, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I'll say one more thing. Alice in Chains Unplugged absolutely smokes.
Yes.
Nirvana's Unplugged. It's not even close to me.
Yeah.
That's an all-time stupid comment. Are you fucking on crack?
No.
What?
No. Listen, I will tell you this. I love them the same. They are both by far brilliant. But to say it smokes Nirvana, that's beyond stupid.
Smokes. I think
that's all time shout it out loudcast stupid comments.
Smokes it.
The real quick before, because we're not going to spend a lot of time, is to make one more comment and then we'll move on. The problem I have with MTV Unplugged was the song selection. They played way too many deep cover songs. Stick to your catalog. I know they didn't have a huge catalog at the time, but performance-wise, it's great. I disagree with Sonny that Alice in Chains is better. It doesn't smoke it, but it's okay, and that's fine. And I love differing opinions.
No, so I will add this because I want to talk about the Unplugged stuff real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number one, the other great thing about the Alice in Chains Unplugged is Jerry Cantrell had fucking food poisoning.
Yeah.
There's like documentaries on that thing. They weren't sure they were going to go on because they didn't know Layne was going to make it. And Jerry Cantrell comes down with food poisoning. He's got a bucket next to him. Yeah. The whole fucking thing that he's going to throw up in.
Yep.
And it's just off the charts. It could be maybe my favorite album. That's how much I love Unplugged. But I love the Nirvana Unplugged. And Tom, the thing about the Nirvana, that's why I like it, because they did something like, you say you love Metallica can take a song and make it Metallica's and it's better than the covers.
Yes.
I love that they did those songs because I didn't even know those songs until Nirvana did them. And now I have the great Nirvana songs. Plus I got these new songs that they never would have done. And it also is 94, the year that he came out and he died. Right. That's why, 94 is such a big, big year and probably the end really of the golden era of grunge afterwards, because then Cobain dies and everything changes. But
and also that Alice in Chains Unplugged was famous for having the guitar that we talked about during the Load episode, where he has the friends don't let friends get cut their hair or whatever he says written in the big letters on the acoustic guitar. And we talked about that during the Load episode.
Yeah, I got to work on my Lars impression. And we were watching them, and it's just a fantastic performance. And we're so big fans of theirs. Fuck him.
But they were making fun of my hair.
Trying to fucking step on somebody else's line. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, yes, let's talk about the album cover. Tom, this is yours. You go first.
Okay. So the album cover, to me, it's unique. And I think the thing that sticks out for anybody who's a fan of this album is the colors. It's just unbelievably it just sticks out, that bright orangey color. And Zeus brought up the seasons. I think, maybe it could be subconscious, but it's the color of fall, the color living in New England. It's the color of leaves. It's the color of that area. And the title, the title of the album is Jar of Flies, and on the cover, it's a jar of flies. It's not tricky. And it's from a science experiment that Jerry Cantrell conducted in the 3rd grade, which I thought was interesting. I mean, he talks about how there were 2 jars. One of the jars was filled with flies and they were overfed. Another jar was filled with flies and it was underfed. The flies that were overfed reproduced very quickly, but then they all died because they were overcrowded. The flies that were underfed, they managed to survive throughout the year. And then Layne Staley says, I guess there's a message in there somewhere. Evidently that experiment had a big impact on Jerry. Jerry, every time he says Jerry, I just think it's Seinfeld. I'm sorry. Jerry.
Hello, Jerry. Hello, Jerry.
Exactly. But it's an interesting cover. And I like how, I like the colors and I like the simplicity. It's a jar of flies, but I like how it actually has a personal background to Jerry Cantrell. Zeus, Sonny, thoughts on the cover for now? I mean, we're going to get into it later when we rank them, but what do you think of the cover?
Yeah, I think the cover is unique. There's no doubt about that. This dude, Rocky Shenik, I guess, photographed the album cover, and I saw him somewhere. He said the band came up with the idea for the title and wanted the cover to be a young boy looking into a jar filled with flies. I remember they asked me to use crazy colors in the shot, so I utilized a lot of different gels over the lights to get the final look. And his assistant took several trips to the nearby horse stable where he had catch hundreds of flies with a butterfly net because the flies kept dying.
Gross.
I I think the jar of flies, it's interesting. I don't know if I need a super close up of an actual fly. That's a little gross, but
because in the vinyl, I'm sure inside the liner notes of the CD, when you open up the vinyl's a gatefold, and it's got that viciously like microscopic like image of a fly. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. But Zeus,
yeah, if you have the box set like I do, Music Bank.
Oh yes,
yeah, Alex and Shane. If you notice those colors and stuff, it seems like the same.
Yeah.
If you notice on the albums itself, the bright colors and mixture, and actually Facelift, you would say, has a little bit of the same kind of bright colors and stuff. Mm-hmm. I like the whole thing about the jar of flies, and I think was talking about Jerry was saying the metaphor there might be the fact that they didn't overdo it with the extra guitars and gona, so they cut back, just like the smaller jar of flies with the less thing, and they became less is more. So they survived by doing a little less.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what it is, but that's what they're talking about a little bit.
Yep, could be.
So we are on to tracks. 1 hour into this episode, we're up to tracks.
This is a miracle. This is amazing.
Yep. So, first track. Ready?
Voice box, guitar, and the great bass line, I'm normally a sucker for. And I love the outro guitar solo, and the tone of the guitar is just simply awesome. There's no doubt. But the vocal melody on Rotten Apple, there's something that is not right to my ear. Like a vocal melody, I just don't get it, so I can't listen to it. And I got no clue what he's saying. I don't know if is he selling me Amway? Is he talking me into religion? Is he calling me an asshole? Like, is he professing his love for Smell-No-Ween? Like, I have no idea what he's saying. So it just kind of sounds like this background music you would find like at an occult or something. I just can't get into it. It was a tough listen for me.
Okay. So Sonny starts off with a bang, being horribly wrong. This is going to be a great episode. So when I listen to this, I love that this is the first song, because when you hear that opening riff right there, it just puts you in a place. And that riff, Jerry Cantrell has talked about how much he loves that. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's a bass riff. And it is just the right there. You know what you're in for with this album. It's moody. It's unhappy. Maybe it's angry. It's unhappy. But then I like how slowly some of the other instruments start to blend into the riff. You know, it takes its time before they become like a band. This is a song where musically, I think it is spectacular. The hey, ah, na, na, like, okay, I get it. When it starts to pick up a little bit more, but that repetitive hey, na, 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 like, it's okay. I'm not a huge fan of that. I understand what Sonny's saying. The vocals are so striking in tone and melody that it's either something that you like or you're not going to like it at all. And that's Layne. That's Alice in Chains. And that's Layne in general. That kind of whiny, drony sound that he creates. But I think that mixed with this music makes it the song that it is, in the way it has those effects, the talk box. It's a standout for me. Pretty much every song on this album is, and we'll get into that when we get into rankings and stuff. But yeah, Rotten Apple. I love it.
I love this album. I'm with Sonny.
Woohoo! You guys,
so,
what the fuck?
Bass line, creepy guitar. I love the creepy guitar. I love the chorus. I will tell you, that fucking ananas shit is the most annoying thing I've fucking ever heard on an Alice in Chains album. And they have some weird shit that they do on stuff. Mm-hmm. We'll listen to the last song off of Sap, and then I will tell you, I'd probably rather hear that than Rotten Apple. Anana, first of all, is beyond annoying. It's some like George Harrison fucking Hare Krishna shit. I don't know what it means, other than anana is pineapple in Greek. No joke. That's why you say pineapple. So I don't know why you keep saying pineapple in every fucking song.
Oh, my God.
Lyric. It is so annoying. Anana. And okay, like shut the fuck up, and it annoys the fuck out of me. The chorus is beautiful, Layne's voice, and then I love Jerry's long guitar intro. So is it bad? No, it's not a bad song. I like it in the sense that it makes sense to be on this album. It's the mood and stuff. I just wish they came up with something else clever instead of na na whatever the fuck that is. And that's where I stand on it. It's okay. It's okay, but that's really annoying.
The music carries the song for me. The music makes up for that. But I see what you're saying. I mean, I mentioned that that part of the song is a little bit of a dud too, but the melody and the music carries it, and I can kind of get over that a little bit because of where the song goes as it progresses.
But you get the harmonies, and that's the wheelhouse right there.
Yep,
the harmonies are there, and these are just like boom. You can't say anything about the song without mentioning the harmonies. So
yep.
Ready to move on to song number 2?
Yep.
All right.
So Nutshell, polar opposite of Rotten Apple for me. I think Layne sounds great. I love the light distortion guitar fills. These songs ain't getting you laid. That's for damn sure. That's not going to happen. I think this song should have opened up the EP. I like kind of like the dark lyrics, whether it's dealing with loneliness or despair or whatever. That's fine. And maybe it was Layne's kind of saying, look, I'm just frustrated that I don't have privacy, right? Which a lot of these guys wanted privacy, but they were probably becoming bigger than they wanted to be. This was one of those songs I felt myself humming without knowing it, right? You know how you're just working, you're just humming, and for some reason I'm like, and yet I fight battle all alone, right? I'm like, what the hell am I humming? What am I humming?
Yep.
Right? So thank God it was Nutshell and not, let's put the X in sex or something. But because I have caught myself humming that before at work. It doesn't work too well.
Poor Sonny.
But love this song. This was exact opposite for me from Rotten Apple.
Yeah. This song is Sonny said it great, and that the opening riff, it is like just so unbelievably sad. And another song where the instruments all slowly come in. It's got that little bit of a shuffle drum beat, the brushes being used. But the thing that launches this song into greatness for me is that the electric guitar riffs and the solo over the acoustics as the song kind of progresses into the outro. I just think that is just amazing. I mean, I think it makes the song just really, really take off. And like we did with Blizzard, I like lists. So this is named the 9th saddest song ever written. So here we go, and I believe it was Rolling Stone. Here we go with the top 10 saddest songs ever written. Zeus, you'll know some of them. Actually, know all of them, but number 10, Hank Williams, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry.
Yep.
Number 9, Nutshell. Number 8, Sam Astin by John Prine. I don't know that song. Number 7, Black by Pearl Jam. No, this is sadder than that. Number 6, one of Zeus's favorites, He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones.
The greatest country song of all time.
Okay. Number 5, Something in the Way by Nirvana. I don't think that's necessarily sad. I just think it's boring. Yeah. Number 4, Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. That's kind of sad. Number 3, I actually think this might be the saddest song ever written. Everybody Hurts by R.E.M.
Yeah.
That song's brutal. And that number 2 is Hurt by 9 Inch Nails. And then number 1, probably because of the subject matter, is Tears in Heaven by Eric Clapton. I mean, for God's sakes, he wrote the song about his kid dying, so that's brutal. So there's your uplifting trivia for Nutshell.
Tom, Sonny, the saddest song and the most desperate, pathetic song is All By Myself. That is the most depressed song I've ever heard in my life. And that's the Peter Brady at his birthday party and no one's showing up song that plays.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Oh my God.
It's the vocal melody because all by myself.
Myself. Got no friends. Come on. That is the worst.
Oh. No, I was just going to say, Nutshell. It's awesome. I think it's a real standout on this album because it kind of encompasses everything that we've been talking about with the background of the album, the instrumentation, the harmony, the vocals, the electric guitar, the acoustic guitar, everything. Great song.
Yeah. So Nutshell for me, this opened up Unplugged, and that's why I think you're like, oh yeah, if this opened up, it would be better. It's a great version. I think Unplugged only had 2 songs from this album, but regardless, I wish they had more. I used to not be able to differentiate between when rotten apple becomes nutshell.
Okay.
They sound very similar. Like you can kind of like move into, except for the ananas stops. And so I never used to be able to tell them that much apart. I like nutshell more because they didn't have anana in the middle of it. Good vocals. He's got a very Nirvana-like 2 verses, same words, and he's got a country-like way, Layne Staley, almost like a Hank Williams way of carrying a word to make it like last, like Eddie Vedder does sometimes, where it's like a whole friggin' verse is one word, just by the way he does his syllables. I love that. His voice on this is fantastic, but it's also that, if you notice more than any, it's that Layne Staley, Axl Rose, it's so easy voice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we would call it Stonehill, the Joycey voice.
Another inside joke.
He was looked like Rick Astley, and he had the deepest baritone voice. Hey, the stupidest thing he ever walked in because he didn't live with us there, but he would always hang out with us in Flynn. He'd come over, and one time he came, hey, is there any mixers this weekend? We're like,
mixers? Because that's what Stonehill called dances, mixers.
and any song, like Pearl Jam song or thing like this, would go like, do a Joycey voice.
God.
And it was, I gotta tell this story. The greatest,
poor Joycey. Come on, man.
Joycey. I don't know. Actually, he had a few things that would happen to him. He was always a foil to get shit happen to him.
Yes.
He was on the couch watching football with everybody.
Literally not bothering anybody.
Sitting down. And fucking one of our friends, the late great Todd, decided to take a football. Was it a Nerf or a regular football? I thought it was, right?
I think it might have been a real one.
Regular football, because half these guys played football. He's just sitting down for no fucking reason, winds up and fucking guns it on the back of his head.
Brutal.
Oh my God. He goes like, what the fuck? And what do all of us do? We laugh.
Of course. except for our buddy Rye guy. And what did he say?
Todd, that's out of line. And we laughed even more when he said that.
As if people didn't think we were dicks enough. Now we're telling stories about us firing sporting equipment at our friggin'
the kid developed ulcers over time. He used to drink a lot with us when he was a freshman. By the time he was like a walk-in pharmacy, so all you would hear is the swishing of his pills in his pockets.
Yeah, he was like the guy in Seinfeld who walked around with a Tic Tac. So Elaine, he was the sidler.
All because of this creepy new guy at work. He just comes out of nowhere and he's right next to you.
So he just sidles up.
That's right. He's a real sidler.
Except it was a bottle of Tylenol instead of Tic Tacs.
So our senior year, before we graduated, we'd go to Cape Cod for the weekend and party.
Yeah.
We rented a Ryder truck.
Oh God, that's this could be a whole episode.
We rented a Ryder truck and we'd put sofas in the Ryder truck.
We turned the inside of the Ryder truck into like a living room. We had a carpet, posters, a hammock, a couch.
So people had houses in the Cape, and you would go to party for like a week.
Yep.
And everybody's in there. We're like, fucking Joycey, you fucking drive the Ryder. And then one of our friends, Lynn, she was like, hey, does anybody want to get in the Ryder and sit in the front with Joycey? We're like, fuck him.
Brutal. We have to do it. We have to do an episode on Stonehill.
I don't know why I enjoy telling stories of what kind of dicks we were in.
The Ryder truck's a good idea, though.
It was awesome. Well, because we're such fucking misfits that all these other people who have brains rented houses. We're like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? Oh, we'll get a Ryder truck. We'll turn it into a fucking hotel, and then we stayed at the Snug Harbor Hotel where they rented rooms by the hour,
and we would show up with the thing,
and we would park in the parking lot.
So the funny thing is, we were such fucking misfit and just like troublemakers. Half the time we would just sit in the fucking Ryder Cup and just drink and party with ourselves instead of like mingling with everybody else.
Just fucking out misfits. That's the word. That's the word. See what happens? This is what happens when I pick this album. It's going to be Stonehill centric.
I'm sorry, Sonny. I'm sorry. Anyways, the one thing I want to end on this is I don't know if I mentioned the outro that I love.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a common theme you'll hear in this album, and I'll mention it. No place to call home. Mm-hmm. Just remember that. I'll keep mentioning that as we go along. And that's it for me on Nutshell.
Okay.
Excellent. So, ready to stay away, Tom?
Let's do it.
The guitar solo is great. I love the orchestral parts. I love them even more knowing that Jerry wrote them, right? So there's this... I love those artists that are one and all. They can do everything if they want to, and they don't need anybody's help, because a lot of the times you get exactly what that person is thinking about and looking for, and they don't have to count on somebody else. So love that Jerry did that. That whole yeah, hey, yeah part of the melody I actually like, and I like the dual vocal when it sounds right. It's just the vocal melody's a little whiny, because when it gets to like why you act crazy, that's when he loses me. Right, all of it was great, and then the ended great. But those couple of lines when they do that really loses me.
It's very Aussie-like.
Yeah. I don't know. The video, I think the video is great. I like the puppet video and Let the Flies Go. They wreak havoc. They come back. He's kind of rubbing it like a Dr. Evil Kitty kind of thing. I thought that was great. I really liked the video.
And speaking of the video, those puppets are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, I didn't know that.
From the video, yeah.
Yeah, the puppets are, but Alice in Chains is not.
That's a separate. Settle down, Stuart. We're not going to get into. We're not going to get into.
How is Alice in Chains not in the fucking Hall of Fame?
I know.
Even critics love Alice in Chains.
It's true.
I don't get it. But go ahead.
So I Stay Away. So this song is kind of the song that encapsulates the album for me in terms of the emotion that I have attached to it. The intro, you're gonna have to bear with me here if I get a little corny here, but that's how this album affects me. The beginning of this album gives me such unbelievable goosebumps when I hear that intro with the guitar, and then the way the strings come in. It seriously, I don't know I don't know if it's the timing or whatever. I picture it's like the most hopeful music I've ever heard. I imagine like the sun rising when I hear this. It's just unbelievable. And then all of a sudden it changes on a dime and it becomes that Alice in Chains drony Layne song, and then it kicks back into gear. And there's a quote from a critic I want to read that I wish these were my words, because it's exactly what I feel. So this is from AllMusic. The guy's name is Ned Raggett, and he says, the seeming schizophrenia between the massive rock crunch and the gentle acoustic numbers was actually one of Alice in Chains' strongest traits. And on the brilliant I Stay Away, the two impulses fused to create what on balance was the band's most uplifting song, sonically, if not always lyrically. And I think this album, this song, it just does such an unbelievable thing to me when I hear it. And there's a reason this song became a hit. Layne's voice, when he's screaming, I Stay Away, and then in the background, you hear those soaring strings. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this goddamn song. Go ahead, Zeus.
I wrote it down, Tom. This is what they're talking about when Jerry says, I know we write about some dark stuff, but our music is kind of uplifting. This is uplifting. I'm going to highlight in again some of the points you made, because I feel the same way. Jerry's brilliance. This is Sonny's point first. Brilliance that he came up with the strings. He told this is what I wanted to sound. He's a fucking guitar player. How's he picking up on that shit? Okay. He comes in and says, this is what I want. This is where I want it. And this is how to do it. Like, as a composer, it's brilliant. Yep. The way Layne's voice, that I Stay Away chorus.
Mm.
How many people can do that with that much power and passion? And there's nothing like somebody like singing that when they sing a song that you can feel their emotions. That's that's why I like country music, certain artists. That's why I like Alice in Chains. And there's other singers that really do it for me because you can feel it. Eddie Vedder sometimes. You can feel it when he's screaming in the song Porch or Rearview Mirror.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
You can feel it when Layne's singing this, okay? Yep. It's insane. And then the strings come in after he hits the lyrics, Tom. I know what you mean.
Yep.
The opening to this is us, and this is what I picture, Tom. You tell me if you know what I mean.
Go ahead.
It's Friday. Classes are ending. It's about 6, 7 o'clock. Someone's playing this. We're walking into Flint. People going in and out of the bathroom, getting showered, getting ready. Music's playing in the background. We're all getting ready because we're all going to hang out and drink tonight. And I Stay Away is playing. It's the fall, and this is when this is happening. That's how I picture it, right?
No, it's true. It's true.
There's something about music that can put you in a place, just like a photograph, a book, a movie, something about it. This song does it for me. And the solo is beautiful. The chorus, the vocals off the charts. It's a haunting song.
Very.
Yeah, and I'm with Sonny. The video is great. It's got some Tool crazy fucking animation shit going on, and the little mischievous guy fucking with the clay guy. You're like, oh, look at this fucking little Eddie Haskell little shit doing all this trouble with the flies. I fucking love this song. The vocals are off the charts. Beautiful. This is, Alice in Chains, and we're going to call this beautiful. I mean, that's really what this song is.
Unusual to use that word for this band, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the next song, Tom. No excuses.
Doing a little research and finding out that they didn't have any songs going into the studio, and this is the first one they wrote. I got to put wow, because the drumming's unique. It's pleasing to the ear. I love that the guitar soloing is happening in the background, but it's kind of lighter. It's got a sing-along chorus. The dual vocal works. The music's almost like peppy. We kind of talked about that a little bit. Subject matter maybe doesn't match the peppiness, but that's okay with me. Kind of sounds like in the lyrics that Cantrell's kind of talking about his relationship with Staley, maybe. And maybe it's like, look, that guy's a pain in the ass, but I love him anyway, and he'll continue to be a pain in the ass. I guess I'll still love him anyway. The video I didn't quite get. It almost seems like there's people coming in the circus tent. They are who they are today, but they don't like it, so they're trying to change into other people maybe. I didn't quite get the video, but that's not the first or last time I haven't quite got videos. But I love the song. Absolutely love the song.
Yeah, as much as I praise I Stay Away, I would probably multiply that praise by 10 for No Excuses. You know, a lot of people talk about having like a desert island disc. This to me is a desert island song, if such a category even exists. This is one of the few songs. This may be the ultimate college grunge Stonehill song for me, and I play it obsessively today. In listening to Alice in Chains and using the word happy is so unusual, but this is one of those few songs. A lot of people are like, oh, what song do you listen to, to put you in a good mood? Not a lot of people are going to pick Alice in Chains, but when I hear this song, the fact that they wrote such a poppy, like uplifting song, the chorus, the solo, the lyrics, the whole thing together is just such an amazing song. And I love that drumming. I love the way the song starts. Whatever Sean Kinney is doing, with the side sticks, they incorporated some bongos and some smaller drums to kind of get the sound going. It's just an amazing song. Sonny mentioned the lyrics about some of the issues that Jerry and Layne may have had with each other, but he says, I'll love you anyway. I mean, for lyrics like that in an Alice in Chains song, you're not going to hear that on every album. But this is just a perfect song for me, and stand out on this album for sure. Stand out in general for No Excuses.
I want to take a quick step back on I Stay Away. The other lyric that I wanted to mention was travel south this year. Yes. And I'm going to get back because there's a theme that I want to make. So travel south this year. That's from I Stay Away. Now let's get to No Excuses. Everything you said, Tom, maybe I will say +1.
Okay. All right.
I can't say enough about No Excuses.
Yep.
It's something that, why do you like music? I don't know.
I don't know. I just do.
Okay. The harmonies are off the charts. Remember I said the third voice? This is the third voice.
Mm-hmm.
It is so fucking, it gives me chills. When Tom was talking about what this song means to him, like I almost got teary-eyed. I was getting like emotional listening because that's what this song means to me.
That's what this album means to me. That's why it's very few albums hit me the way this album hits me. It's
this
weird.
is to me a desert island song as well.
Yep.
There's something about it that it's not like woohoo, there don't need nothing but a good time. But for grunge, this is nothing but a good. But the lyrics aren't about that. And what it is, it's not a dick song or whatever. It's a beautiful song. It's a lot of this. They know that they're not going to last much longer. And Jerry is basically writing this, okay, and saying, now up until I believe this point, everything was written by Layne.
Mm-hmm.
I should have mentioned I usually do this on every song.
That's okay.
Everything was written by Layne. No Excuses, first song written by Jerry. So Jerry writes this song and he's saying to his friend, I'll love you anyways. And if we change, it's okay, buddy. Mm-hmm. We might go separate ways. We might do this and that. I still love you. You, my friend, I will defend. Yep. That is, beautiful. So the bongo-like drums and then that bass riff that picks up.
Oh, it's awesome.
The acoustic guitars. It's like a heavy Beach Boys, Mamas and Papas. The harmonies. It's like a heavy Beach Boys set. And then you got Jerry and the Layne distinct voice and Jerry's voice, that third person. The video is some weird opera. Look like an opera house. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. And then the close-up of Layne and Jerry singing coming in. I like that.
This is also the only Alice in Chains song to go number 1.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Mainstream charts, number 1, right?
Yep.
So the other part to this is there's something about the way that they come up with their harmonies, and this one stays throughout. You don't really differentiate, this is Jerry, then Layne, then them two together. It is really them all together throughout the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this was their single. I Stay Away was also their other single too that they'd done, and that went up to number 10 on U.S. mainstream. No Excuses went to number 1, and it was also number 32 on the pop charts.
Amazing.
Yeah. Again, when we do these bonus episodes and we come up with albums, I want to do this of all the Alice in Chains albums, because songs like this and a couple other ones we'll get to.
Yep.
And I just can't say enough. I love this fucking song.
Yep.
All right. We get it. You like this song. Let's move to the next one, right?
Okay.
So let's move to the next track.
Whale and Wasp. I like it, right? It's soothing, kind of feels a little bit like sleep study type music playing in the background, or, while you're getting a massage. Not a happy ending. I'm talking about actual massage. I'm assuming that the loud guitar note is supposed to be the whale and maybe the cello sounding thing, or no, it's supposed to be the Wasp, and the cello sounding thing maybe is supposed to be the whale. So I'm assuming that. Okay, I don't mind an instrumental, but I won't seek it out. I'm like Zeus. Zeus will say, hey, if you got 15 songs that you wrote for the album, just put all 15 songs on. Don't pare it down to 10. My thing is, okay, you wrote this beautiful piece. I get it. Maybe you can come up with harmonies, whatever. I want lyrics. I want vocal melody. I'm just not in love with instrumentals. It's a good one. I won't ever seek it out. I won't turn it off either. And it was beautiful. There's no doubt about that. I just rather have vocal melody on every song, good or bad. So.
The fact that this is an Alice in Chains track is mind-numbing, because as far as instrumentals go, this is literally one of the most beautiful pieces of music. And the fact that it came from Alice in Chains is amazing. the fact that it starts off with that kind of that droning, like that dive tone, and then those strings come in, and then you hear the other melody, the chordal pattern. There are parts of this music that, again, I'm a visual person when I listen to music. There are parts of this where I'm like, I could picture, if you've ever been to a wedding before, it's almost like music that you play in the background before, like before the people start coming down the aisle, as they're seating, the orchestration is so melodic in it's a pretty song. And I think the name of the song, Sonny kind of hinted at it. I think, a whale is beautiful and majestic, and a wasp is something that's terrifying and people want to avoid. And I think that's where the kind of the juxtaposition of those two kinds of sounds come together. And I think that's why they named it this, because it makes you feel that way. It's kind of almost what happened with I Stay Away. You have that hopeful section, then you have that really like dirgy section of Layne's voice. But as far as instrumentals go, I love it. I mean, I see what Sonny's saying. Beautiful piece of music. Throw some lyrics in it. Maybe this was one where they just wanted to say, hey, we love this piece of music. We'll just let it fly on its own. But I'm a fan of this one for absolutely sure.
I hate fucking instrumentals. That's been my motto. That's my theme. I love this one.
Yep.
There's only 2 instrumentals I will tell that I can think of off the top of my head. I will tell people to go listen to. Go listen to this, and go listen to Daisy from Stone Temple Pilots Vatican CD. Unbelievably beautiful melody. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. This continues the melancholy. Continues. Now I'm crossing the path back from O'Hara Hall, Tom, back to the dorms.
Yes.
That's what I think of when I think of this song.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I have a different approach. I thought that's a whale. That's the whale singing in the ocean.
Could be.
And then the is a wasp fucking flying around. That's how I took it. And you're right. That the wasp part of it, from what I think is the wasp part, does sound like, okay, hey, Zeus, you put the bride side of the family on that side, you get the groom side. That's what that sounds like.
Exactly. It really does.
Like orchestral, like church music and stuff, right?
Yes.
I'm with you on it.
Yep.
I love the title. Very creative. Continues the mood. And it's just that melancholy, beautiful strings attached to the guitar. It's just, to think of this shit. That's why I still follow Alice in Chains. And that's why I don't sit there and say, I don't know. I don't want, why are they putting out music if Layne's gone? Because Jerry Cantrell can still do shit like this and can still sing some of the best fucking songs they have. Mm-hmm. That's why. So I love it. I'm a big fan of this, and I you know me, I fucking hate instrumentals.
Yep.
But let's move to the next song.
Don't follow. So that whole, I remember hearing it back in the day when I first bought it, and I liked the song then. So listening to it 3 weeks ago, I'm like, all right, it's got the blues feel. I'm like, okay, that was a harmonica. All right. Like the vocal melody. That's cool. Hooked me at 2.5 minutes in when it starts getting aggressive. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the Alice I love. Right. And the vocal melody gets aggressive, and the feel the song really connected with me. And I could imagine, as you guys know, I haven't drank in 13 years. If I was still drinking, I could imagine me being on the porch and like Jack in one hand and in between slugs, like singing this at the top of my lungs for some reason. And I don't know why, but I'd be like, take me home. It's like, shut the fuck up. You're already home. Get inside your home, you dumbass. Like at 2 a.m., so this one, spoiler alert, I didn't think it was the best song on the CD, but it definitely did connect with me the best.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we keep saying it, but I mean, one of the most beautiful songs to and the fact that it's Alice in Chains, I keep saying it. I mean, that opening little picking with the guitar, and with Jerry Cantrell doing the lead and the harmonica, and then the song stops. And then you're introduced to Layne, and then the song just takes off. And it's just, the composition of the song is just mind blowing. It's It's so well put together, and it evokes such emotion from different ways. And like the fact that Sonny is getting hooked into the emotions of an Alice in Chains song shows you that, there's a reason why this song is still popular. You still hear it sometimes on alternative rock radio. I know Lithium on Sirius XM, the 90s grunge, they play this all the time for reasons that they should. It's just a beautiful song. It's sad. It's very, very sad. But they a lot of these songs, they fool you because the lyrics are sad, but the music is not. And again, it's that crossbreed of emotions that you're hearing. Your ears are hearing two different things. You're hearing sad lyrics, but uplifting and hopeful music. And I think it just adds to the genius of the album.
This was written by Jerry Cantrell. So this went to number 25 on the mainstream charts, the third single that they did. I can't say enough about this one as well. First of all, the big thing that sticks out too is that incredible harmonica by a guy named David Atkinson. I can't remember, like was it the fat guy from fucking Blues Traveler? But I'm like, whoever's on this is doing an incredible job. They did have, I think the people are April Aceves on viola, Rebecca Clemens Smith on violin, Matthew Weiss on violin, and Justine Foy on violoncello. A couple additional vocalists, Randy Byro and Daryl Peters, just to throw it out. And then obviously David Atkinson on harmonica. Fucking brilliant job on this. Hey, I Ain't Never Coming Home.
Yep. Take
Me Home. The handoff. It's like a baton.
Beautiful.
The handoff between Jerry to Layne is the stuff that gives me chills.
Mm-hmm.
The lyrics. So if I was ever a drug addict and a heroin addict on my last thing, I would write this song.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is what I think of a degenerate. If I'm like playing a part in a movie and they're like, okay, we need you to be a guy that's desperate, down on his luck, heroin addict. This is what I'd be like. I need to get into character.
Yep.
The lyrics on this are so fucking haunting. Brilliant. And that's why, as much as I love Layne Staley's voice, I love Jerry Cantrell stuff. I find that my favorite songs by Alice in Chains are Jerry stuff and Jerry vocals. They are. They just are. Like this and in the previous one that we just discussed, I can't describe to you guys because we'll get to because I don't want to give it away how much I love this song. It is the quintessential, I think, grunge fucking drug addict fucking shit song about emotions and pouring your heart out. It's just incredible. And Jerry is brilliant for writing the music and the lyrics of this. And the performance by him and Layne are off the charts. They never sang this live, which I do not fucking understand.
Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the way the song stops and the last lyric is say goodbye, don't follow. Oh,
haunting.
Chill. Yeah, it's chills. It's chill. We've been saying it for pretty much every song, but this one is, my God, there's a reason this album is the album that it is. I mean, it deserves it, but yeah, that's Don't Follow.
All right. So Tom, I keep saying Tom, but there's another person here too. But I usually, yeah. So Sonny, swing on this.
Okay, so this might not be a popular take, but the album kind of started rough, and to me, it ended rough. Because I get it; it's kind of a unique song for grunge, but somehow Alice can make a fun song depressing, and I kind of like the blues type swing. But the melody is way too whiny for me. You hand this to a Brian Setzer or a Billy Joel, you probably get a lot funner song. I would have rather had Don't Follow end the album because this kind of stuck out as a kind of a thud for me.
Yeah, there's a song that needs to be – every album has to have a song that's not the best, or if you want to call it the worst. This song, it's Alice in Chains. It's on Jar of Flies, so I like it. But it clearly is it's not a strong track, if I can put it kindly. I like how it starts out. It's an interesting song. And then it kind of switches again, like we've said in a couple of those other songs, where it gets that drony Layne Staley Alice in Chains sound. And then it kind of goes back to that little swingy blues vibe. So there's something in there. It's a cool song. I feel like it maybe could have been worked on a little bit more to because I think there's something really awesome in there. It's okay, but I think with Sonny's right. I don't like when albums land with a thud. And I don't think the song should not be on the album. I just think it shouldn't be the closing track.
Yeah, I like the idea, Tom, of Sonny, I think, that said, end it with say goodbye, don't fall. But that'd be a real depressing thing to leave people with, like, don't kill yourself. Like, all right, let's put something fun on there. This song was so fun. You got the producer laughing the whole time at the end. And he's like, it sounds pretty fucking good. I'm laughing. It's like, that's tight as shit. What are you talking about?
Yep.
That's the spoken stuff at the end. The thing I wanted to add is that this is Layne back to writing the lyrics. So this is written by Layne. A lot of bass. It's almost jazz-like. Boom, doom, ba-doom, boom.
Yeah. And I went biddly biddly.
Now I got to put that in there.
I had to say it.
Slapping on the old bass.
And that's how we came up with Swing on This.
I looked over at Jerry and he was going flibbly flibbly flibbly.
You know, people want to know about yesterday. It's no mystery, really. You know, I was just doing my job, you know, plunking on the plunker like that, you know. I was strumming a little skiddly widdly, feeling a bit flu inside, you know, rumbly mumbly down in there. I had a bit of a knocker block. I started with the flub dub dub and a tinker wink woo woo, and tip tap a zibby zab sang zone, you know. And there you have it, yesterday.
You guys reminded me of something. So Tone and I, we started college together. It took us a long time. But we had a music appreciation class together.
Oh no.
And dude, every time, so part of the class was you would spin a song, right? Yeah. And then you'd kind of give your take on it. I think most of the songs basically we said sucked. But anytime like a stand-up bass would be on the track, right, the professor would be all boom, 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 right? Start doing the thing, right? And then the hi-hat comes, he's like, we were laughing more about that than we were about the song.
I know what you're talking about. I think of the cartoons, Tom and Jerry slapping on the old bass.
Oh, yeah. Or Jerry would pull one of Tom's whiskers, and that would be the bass that he would play.
Yeah, Swing on This is I'm with Sonny on this. You know, it's just brilliance in the middle of this sandwich. I wouldn't call it a shit sandwich a la Tony Smith, but again, mother, father, sister. So my friend said, "Come home."
Yep.
How many times have I said that?
A lot of
right?
come home on
7
this. Yeah.
About home. Mm-hmm. So it's that melancholy. Maybe it's because they came home and they're all fucking evicted and they're living in a thing.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a feeling of loss there, of not being at home or not being able, traveling and not being at your place where you can just feel yourself. And that's the running theme I wanted to bring up. But I'm with you guys. Not very good, Mm-hmm. So anyway, wow, that's it.
Jar of Flies. That's what happens when you do an EP.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
So what do we do next?
Oh, we get to the good stuff. The rankings.
Oh boy. It was big.
It's a big one.
All right. So I have Tom, you're going to go first. So we have 7 tracks. So we're going to go Tom, Sonny, then me.
Okay.
So Tom, your number 7.
7 is Swing on This.
Sonny.
My number 7 is Rotten Apple.
Oh,
sorry.
How dare you?
Unlistenable. I'm sorry.
Unlistenable? Oh,
unlistenable.
God.
Tom, my number 7 is Rotten Apple.
You guys are
really? Yep.
You guys are awful.
Yep. Tom, number 6 for you.
Okay, so Swing on This was a definite 7. My number 1 is a definite. The rest of the album, well, maybe not the rest of the album, but I like this, but something's got to be number 6, and that's Whale and Wasp. Even though I love it, but that's my number 6.
My number 6 is Swing on This.
Oh, Sonny, number 6, Swing on This.
Why don't you fucking both swing on this? All right. Number 5 is Rotten Apple. I love the beginning of that song, but there's a couple things I'm not a huge fan of.
How are we that off? We're very similar. We're not that off, I'm saying.
I know, that's true. There is only 7 songs on this.
Sonny, you're number 5.
I Stay Away. It's that whiny in the middle. I can't handle it.
That's bad, Sonny.
That's a bad call.
Number 5 for me, and this one was very easy for me, Nutshell.
Okay. That's my number 4. Number 4 is Nutshell.
Number 4 for me is Whale and Wasp.
Oh, wow. Sonny having an instrumental ranked.
All right. So for me, I want to make a point to say 4 and on is why I would have put this album. I would have done this album.
Yeah, I agree.
Like 4 and on. For me is just whatever. So
interchangeable,
not interchangeable, but like songs that I really love.
Okay. Yes.
Whale and Wasp.
Okay. That was your 4.
Yep.
Okay. So number 3 for me is Don't Follow.
Number 3 for me is Nutshell.
Number 3 for me is I Stay Away. And now I could say top 3 is off the charts for me too, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah. 1 and 2 for me, these are like 1A, 1B. But something had to be 1, something had to be 2. And number 2 for me is I Stay Away.
Number 2 for me is Don't Follow.
I had such a hard time picking between number 1 and number 2.
I did too.
I changed this. And these songs, when we talk about what we're going to do next month, which will be very interesting, you'll see how much I have affinity for these 2 songs. So I started off with one thing. My number 2 was number 1. But then I'm like, I got to change it. And I'll explain to you when I give it to my number 1. But number 2 for me is Don't Follow.
Wow. I almost guaranteed that would be your number 1. Okay. So number 1 for me, No Excuses.
All 3 of us had the same number 1.
No shit. Nice. Awesome.
I want to add something.
Definitely.
So
go ahead.
I was going back and forth in this. Is like, Don't Follow is like a quintessential, like, grunge. And I talked to you about like the despair and drugs and era stuff. But I need to be somewhere at a point. It probably affects me more than No Excuses. But I can't do Don't Follow when I'm like driving in the car and my kid driving her to fucking practice for cheer.
Right.
No Excuses will hit me emotionally anytime. I never change that. I can listen to it when I'm in a bad mood, great mood, any mood. Fucking puts a smile on my face like no other song. And for that reason alone, I'm like, you know what? Although Don't Follow may touch me more a little at certain points, I got to put No Excuses number 1.
Yep. Okay. I hear you.
So collectively, our number 3 was I Stay Away. 2 was Don't Follow. 1 was No Excuses.
And those are our top 3 songs. Granted, there's only 7, but
but so then it's my fucking thing. I picked it correctly. So
yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Sorry.
Yeah, we didn't need to do the episode. I could have just told you these are the 3 best songs.
That's a good point. You're right.
Yeah. So
right, now let's get to the good stuff.
Turn the page.
Get to the good stuff.
Oh, good Lord.
All right.
Oh.
So we're doing album covers.
Yes.
We have reviewed Appetite for Destruction, Slide It In, OU812, Super Unknown, Pyromania, Load, Peace of Mind, Bon Jovi, Blizzard of Oz, Jar, Flies. Tom, your order is this: Blizzard of Oz, Peace of Mind, Appetite for Destruction, Pyromania, Slide It In, Super Unknown, Bon Jovi, Load, OU812. Where does this album go?
All right. So we've ranked albums that have some pretty awesome, iconic covers. This cover it's cool, it's interesting, but it is what it is. So I am going to put it right behind Slide It In and above Super Unknown. I like it, but Slide It In has a snake going down in between a woman's breasts. I don't understand how Slide It In is only number 5. I know. Did I just say breasts? This is Shout It Out Loudcast. It had a snake going through a pair of tits.
Is this some kind of bust?
Well, it's very impressive, yes, but we need to ask you a few questions.
All right, Sonny. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just gonna say. That being said, the colors of it's a standout cover for me, but it's not better than those that I have on the list. So,
okay, Sonny, you had Peace of Mind, Slide It In, Blizzard of Oz, Pyromania, Appetite for Destruction, Bon Jovi, Super Unknown, OU812, Load.
Yeah, for me, a snake in the titties is going to win. So I actually like the Super Unknown cover even better. So this ended up being right before OU812 in the 8th spot.
Okay.
Jar
of Flies. All right. For me, I had Blizzard of Oz, Appetite for Destruction, Peace of Mind, Slide It In, Pyromania, Super Unknown, OU812, Bon Jovi, and Load. I put Jar of Flies above Super Unknown. So this is my number 6, just like you, Tom.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, I'm not going to put OU812 or Bon Jovi's a Load. And it's better than Super Unknown. And I like the fact that there's a story behind the album cover.
Yes.
I do like that.
Me too.
But the problem is Pyromania is just so iconic for me. Slide It In is cool. Peace of Mind is cool. Appetite is cool. And Blizzard of Oz is cool. And they're all nostalgic for me. So they got to go that way.
Yep. Let's
do the album rankings. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be fun. Mm-hmm. So, Tom, you're first. I will read your albums as you rank them. Pyromania, Appetite for Destruction, Blizzard of Oz, Super Unknown, Load, Slide It In, OU812, Bon Jovi, and Peace of Mind. Where does Jar of Flies go in?
Okay. So the thing about this album here, I said it at the beginning, it's not just the music. A lot of these albums, it's the music. I mean, yes, there's some affinity and some nostalgia and certain things, especially Pyromania. It's probably the album that I've loved the longest, non-Kiss. That's why Pyromania is number 1. There might be albums on this list that maybe the music's better, but when I take this album as a whole, and as much as I love the music, just the music I love, but when you add what the album means to me and where I was in my life at the time and how it makes me feel, I'm going to put this at number 2 right behind Pyromania.
Wow.
I don't, and let me be clear on that, because yes, Appetite may be a better album. The songs might be, it's a different album, but I don't really have, nothing connects me to Appetite other than I love the album. Like when I listen to Rocket Queen or Night Train, I'm like, these songs fucking kick ass, but the song is, I listen to the song and then I move on. When I listen to every song on Jar of Flies, it gives me something extra other than just enjoying the music. And it's probably the only album on this list. And that's why I don't think anything's ever going to knock Pyromania off here, because that album is such a huge part of my life. But I'm going to give Jar of Flies. That doesn't mean that I don't love Appetite and Blizzard and all the other albums. It's just what it means to me just gives it that bump to number 2.
Sonny, you had Slide It In, Appetite, Pyromania, Peace of Mind, Bon Jovi, OU812, Blizzard of Oz, Super Unknown, Load.
So for me, 7 songs. I really like 3 of them. 2 are meh for me, and 2 I will never listen to again. So it ends up being 9th on my list right before Load. And I don't have the connections to it.
Okay. Wow. Load still the cellar dweller for you. Okay.
Yeah. And for me, Slide It In is going to be hard to beat because there's only a few albums I like better than Slide It In, and it's possible we never do those. So
okay. Good.
All right. So for me, I had Blizzard of Oz, Pyromania, Appetite for Destruction, Bon Jovi, Super Unknown, Slide It In, Peace of Mind, Load, and OU812. I did my tracks. I did my cover. I did everything. I didn't do this. I still haven't done it because I'm still thinking to the last minute, where the fuck do I put this?
Yep.
I'm like you, Tom. I don't know. It's going to go somewhere above Appetite or below Appetite. I don't know. I know I have more of an affinity for it because of the nostalgia behind it. But I'll be honest with you, Appetite, I got in on Appetite before any of my friends did. I blasted it. I knew this, so I would put that ahead of it. I'm going to go with Jar of Flies going to number 4.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
Right above Bon Jovi. And again, I think Appetite is a better all around album.
It probably is. And I don't disagree with you on that. I don't. But like I said, the everything, all the abstract stuff is what launched Jar of Flies for me to number 2.
Exactly. So that goes to number 4 for me.
Okay.
And that is Jar of Flies.
Yes.
Now, before we go to you make me rock hard segment, I want to make a point. So we've done 10 albums.
Mm-hmm.
So just like we've done on the Kiss, our regular podcast, that we rarely do, Tom. When we hit the 10 albums, we did an album review. We're going to do that for next month. So there's your surprise, people.
Nice.
Album review. We've done our 10 albums. We're going to discuss them, break them down, and then we're going to do the tracks of all 10 albums.
That is, I know you guys have already done that. I have not, because I wanted to do this episode and have this stuff ranked, and I'm going to sit down and put that together, and that's going to be a pain in the ass. I'm actually kind of avoiding it because I'm afraid to do it.
Yeah, I've done it. Sonny has done it, but he has to give me his Jar of Flies stuff. And every time, once in a while, when I'm bored, I look at it and I move things up and down. It's 105 songs, Tom.
Yes. Yep.
So
it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And after we do the episode, we'll probably do a live cast about the 10 albums that we reviewed so far.
Yep.
And then following that, Sonny will be up in the rotation.
Yep. Sonny will be, so we'll do the review in October. Sonny will have his November pick. Zeus will bring home 2020 in December.
Yeah, so sounds like we got Saxon on our upcoming for Sonny.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there you go. It's going to be Saxon / Halloween greatest hits. So basically one song.
Oh, Jesus.
We're doing Sabotage, Hall of the Mountain King.
But I like how we don't tell people what we're doing on the air. They just have to sit and wait. I also like how we don't tease these bonus episodes. They just come out. So
yeah, I'm joking, by the way, people. We're not doing fucking Sabotage, Halloween, or fucking Saxon. That's not happening.
And you know what's funny? You know what's funny, Zeus? There might be people be like, oh, fuck, I was so excited. I thought we were finally going to get Keeper of the Seven Keys by Halloween. Or whatever the fuck the name of that album is.
I know fucking Sonny's buddy Jericho would love that. He loves Halloween.
Oh, God.
And our buddy Steve Wright loves that shit.
Oh, I will say it's a cool band name and a cool logo. That's about it. And they have cool album covers, but that's about it.
That's a lot, but it's a lot of sorcery and Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, brutal shit. Yeah.
Well, let me ask. Any Halloween song or Sebastian doing
Oh Sherry
along with Steve Perry? I'll take any Halloween song.
Why did he do? Who told him, hey, Sebastian, you should do that? I mean, what's worse, that or Paul Stanley with his art reviews? What's happening to all these guys? Brutal.
All right. Before this becomes a 5-hour episode.
Yeah. Plus, we got to get going. The Patriots are kicking off soon. It's Sunday at 12:30.
I'm forecasting at least one pick six by Cam Newton, so you can put that down.
Shut your mouth.
So what do we? Who's going first? This is the "You Make Me Rock Hard" segment.
Oh, Sonny, you want to go? I'll go first. All right. So, as Brian from the Breakfast Club gets made fun of, it's such fun to read. So I did a book this time around, and it's connected to the album that I picked. So it's a book called "Everybody Loves Our Town: An Oral History of Grunge." The book is about 550 pages long. It's a huge fat paperback, and it's an oral history style book. I don't know if you've ever read a book that's written in the oral history format. What it is instead of just a narrative, like a story, the chapters are broken down. Each chapter has like a topic in the era of grunge, and then the chapters are told by little paragraph interview bits up from people.
Yeah, Greg Prado's book.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yep. So like you have like this right here, like chapter 14, the first paragraph, Kim Thale from Soundgarden. Then there's a paragraph by the album producer. Then there's a paragraph about, Chris Cornell. And that's how the story is told. So it makes it a really easy read. And if you're a fan of grunge, and we hope you are, because we just did Alice in Chains, it's a great book. It's called "Everybody Loves Our Town: An Oral History of Grunge," and it's written by Mark Yarm, Yarm. Great book.
Cool.
Yep.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
Sonny.
I went with an album this time. It's an album called "Can't Slow Down" by Foreigner. So it was released in 2009. It's their 9th album, and no, Lou Graham's not on it. But guys, you have to give it a shot because Kelly Hansen has done a great job in Foreigner. So if you're not giving the guy a shot, you're missing out. They had released an album in 1994, so this was the first album in like 15 years. It was available only at Walmart for a while, but now you can find it on Spotify. And it's got Kelly Hansen on lead vocals, Mick Jones, who's the only original left, on guitar, Tom Kimball on guitars, Michael Bluestein on keyboards, Jeff Pilson of Dokken fame on bass guitar, and Brian Tichy, who's been on basically everything, on drums.
He's awesome.
And I'll tell you the 3 songs, if you don't want to go check out the whole album, again, it's called "Can't Slow Down." The title track is classic Foreigner, and it starts the album. So immediately you go, all right, they ain't missing Lou that bad. And then if you go to "When It Comes to Love," it's got that "I Want to Know What Love Is" kind of vibe, but it's a little bit of a faster tempo. And then there's this awesome chartable song called "Angel Tonight," which is probably more like a ballad, but those 3 songs, "Can't Slow Down," "When It Comes to Love," "Angel Tonight," you try those 3 songs, you'll fall in love with the album. Promise you.
Awesome. Cool.
Kelly
really
Hansen.
Cool. Now it's funny when you said "Can't Slow Down," I was excited. I'm like, oh, Sonny's going to talk about the Lionel Richie album. We all love
that
Lionel
one
Richie.
Too. I love Lionel Richie.
I'm like, is Sonny really going to talk about Lionel Richie? And then you said Foreigner. I'm like, all right, I like Foreigner too, but no, that's great. I'll check it out. Cool.
Anyway. Kelly Hansen. I was saying before you jumped all over it. Isn't that the guy that was in the band Hurricane?
Yeah.
I thought so. Right? They had that one song, "I'm on to you."
Yep.
Yes.
Right? They did Cooper's 18.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice. All right.
There was something about him in the news I read at one point. I don't know what he had. It's some sort of issue or whatever. But regardless, is there anybody original in that band, Foreigner, when this came out?
When this came out, Mick Jones was still in the band. And what's happening now is if they record something, of course, Mick will be there. But when they tour, I think Mick makes it to like 1 or 2 shows a week. Okay,
so did Mick write any of these songs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they do have a Foreigner theme. It's not fucking the guy from Dokken, the guy from Hurricane, 5 other people calling themselves Foreigner.
No. This has Foreigner type classic songs on it. The problem is it's not Lou Graham. So people are like, well, nobody compares to Lou Graham. I don't disagree. I think the Lou Grahams of the world, the Steve Perrys of the world, the Robert Plants of the world, there's just some people you can't duplicate.
Right.
But nobody's asking him to be Lou Graham. He's doing his own thing, and he sounds great.
Good.
Nice. Okay, cool.
All right. So my "You Make Me Rock Hard" is something you guys are probably very familiar with, and I'll have to dig up some clips, and that is Cobra Kai.
Oh, don't spoil it. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. So
none of the seasons?
No. No,
Wow.
because all of it just recently dropped on Netflix, I think. Before it was on YouTube Red or whatever. So anyway, Zeus, go ahead. I haven't watched it yet. My wife and I are going to finish it.
So Cobra Kai is the continuation of the story from the Karate Kid, and it gives the perspective basically from both sides instead of just the Daniel son side. And I think the show came up with whoever came up with the idea came up with it because of that fucking viral YouTube video when Danielson was changed around and was the bully and Johnny was the good guy.
The Karate Kid is the story of Daniel, a violent sociopath who moves to a California town and begins tormenting a local boy and his friends.
And someone said, yeah, why don't we do it? It's kind of like Wicked in The Wizard of Oz, where also now you're seeing it from the other side and they spin it. And we've been quoting Karate Kid stuff all through growing up. And, show me Sanda floor. Show me paint the fence side to side. And we've been doing that.
Nice car, Mrs. LaRusso.
Hi, kids. Hey, Mommy, can Daniel come for a ride? I really like your car, Mrs. LaRusso.
I hate this stupid bike.
This damn bike. I hate this bike. I hate this friggin' bike. This stupid bike. I hate it.
First of all, so I watched the series because I watched it now because it went on Netflix. I didn't watch it when it was on I'm not getting 15,000 different subscriptions and adding YouTube. So now that it went on, I watched it with my daughter. Some parts maybe I shouldn't have, but it's got some adult stuff, a little, not too much, no nudity or anything, but the show is excellent. Every episode had a fun part to it. It's 10 episodes a season. So many nostalgic, so many callbacks to things. It didn't just try to do something different. It's not a fucking 90210 reboot where they hook you in from something in the beginning to bring up the old cast and then they fucking throw them away and there's new people you don't like. This is all them and it stays with them. Great acting, great drama throughout. Every episode is different. Even the new people that they bring in are interesting. And I fucking loved it. I watched it both. Me and my daughter zoomed through that shit so fast. And then we watched the original Karate Kid together because she wanted to see that too. And it's great. But the one thing I got to pick up is a couple quick things. Karate Kid, the original. Dude, he deserved to get his ass kicked.
Oh, now you've been brainwashed.
First of all, he looks like the biggest dork. Look at his pants. Throughout the whole fucking movie. He has the fucking worst floods I've ever fucking seen in my life. And those awful Nikes. And he's supposed to be like a cool kid that came from New Jersey. He probably got his ass kicked every day in New Jersey dressing like that. He's such a dork. And his girlfriend's a little bit fat in the ass. If you notice,
I'm a little fat in the ass.
In the movie, she weighs like fucking double. She's like double his size.
I don't know about that.
When
Dude, you are shitting on Elizabeth Shue, 80s crush.
I listen, I like Elizabeth Shue too. I think she's cute. Maybe I'm over exaggerating, but she's a little bit fat in the ass in this. She is not what you would call a thin girl in this. She's a little bit plumpy cute. And look at them when they walk side by side. She looks like she could eat him. He looks like a thin rail, and his dorky pants and his dorky floods. He should have got his ass kicked.
Dude, I think the bigger problem than his floods and his overweight girlfriend is the fact that his best friend is an 80-year-old Korean man who lives in a fucking shed.
He's not Korean. He's
Japanese. I'm sorry. Whatever. Whatever.
Local busybody, karate master, and child batterer Mr. Miyagi.
I thought, oh yeah, he is Japanese. I thought he was talking. All right, yeah, but I mean, that's good. Move to a new city and have your best friend be an old Japanese guy that lives in the friggin' tool shed of the apartment complex that you live in.
Is it bad that when we watched Karate Kid and it's supposed to be a touching scene, he turns to Miyagi and says,
"You're the best friend I ever had."
You pretty okay too.
you're my best friend. I stopped laughing in front of my daughter. I was laughing out loud. Like, you would have fucking done.
Well, you just told a story about how you laughed at one of our friends getting a football fired at his head. So you're going to laugh.
You stood up for him too, right? Dude, it's so bad. You're my best friend.
Zeus, what did you say earlier before?
This is what I said. Bonsai tree, strong, root strong, like you, Daniel-san.
No, but the fact that we're having fun right now talking about Karate Kid for 5 minutes, this could lend some credence to our theory about doing bonus episodes of movie reviews.
Oh. J.C. Penney, $3.98.
Hey, what kind of belt do you have?
Canvas. You like? J.C. Penney, $3.98.
God. Oh my God. Oh, poor Daniel. Come on, he had
to put a picture of him in his pants, walking side by side with Elizabeth Shue in that movie. She looks like double his size, and I'm not saying because she was fat, but he looked like a pipsqueak.
He had no chance though. He was riding Pandemic Paul's mountain bike, and all the cool kids had fucking dirt bikes. He had no shot.
Yeah, wait till you watch Cobra Kai though. You won't feel bad for Daniel-san anymore.
I know. Well, it's funny because my 16-year-old son has a T-shirt. And it's a picture of Johnny in the Cobra Kai, and underneath it says #Justice for Johnny.
When he went down the fucking hill, I was laughing.
Oh, God.
It was real funny. They pushed me down a fucking cliff.
I'll give him credit for this though. He did have a friggin' kick-ass Halloween costume when he went as a fucking shower.
Oh, you go to party if I make a costume? Oh.
God. Oh, man.
Oh. So we Sonny, I think you do a podcast or two.
Yeah, Grown Up Rock Podcast. We've been around a while, and you can find it wherever you find this podcast. And Podcast Rock City, we're going to start doing video. So I think we start that tonight, so it should be fun.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. So Shout It Out Loudcast, where if you're listening to this bonus episode for the first time, we are an all-Kiss podcast that does weekly episodes that drop on Saturdays. We do these bonus episodes once a month. Our email address is shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com, shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. Email us comments, critiques, opinions, thoughts. We like to read them and talk about them. And then we're on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We interact all the time.
You know what I'm interrupting you guys with? And I'm saying this live to people. This is fucking Big Brother shit. What was your fucking pick, Tom?
Everybody Loves Our Town, The Oral History of Grunge.
What did I just get?
You got an email from Amazon talking about the book. How was that possible?
Literally, I just got an email. Everybody Loves Our Town, an oral, and it stops. Like, that's what I just got.
So if people don't think your phone is literally listening to you, how is that possible? That's actually kind of
got this email from Amazon as we're like taping now.
Dude, that's
what
fucking
the fuck.
Yeah, that's actually really creepy. That's fucking insane, actually.
Maybe it's because all the Alice in Chains shit I've been reviewing lately on my phone, but
I just said the name of the book, and then you get an email? Anyways,
where do people find us, Tom?
So like I said, email, and then we're on all the social medias, and then we're part of the Great Pantheon podcast group. You can find our show everywhere, all the big ones, Apple, Spotify, wherever. And then, our great friend Ed, who designed our show logo, he's got a great website called Click T Shop, Click with a K, sells awesome Kiss-inspired gear, and he sells Shout It Out Loudcast gear featuring the logo that he designed.
Thank you, Tom. So, you got a lyric for us, buddy?
Oh, boy.
My, oh,
God.
Gift of self is raped. My, privacy is raped. And yet I find repeating in my head, if I can't be my own, I'd feel better dead.
Well, that's a really uplifting. Well, at least my lyric is a little bit happier. Yeah, it's fine. We'll walk down the line. Leave our rain and cold. Trade for warm sunshine. You, my friend, I will defend. And if we change, well, I love you anyway.
Brilliant. Scared to death, no reason why. Do whatever to get me by. Think about the things I've said. Read the page, it's cold and dead.
See, we should have done my lyric last because I end with I love you anyway, and you guys are talking about dead. But it is Alice in Chains, so it makes sense.
Oh, wow. Tom, thank you. Sonny, thank you. Kiss Army, thank you.
Guys, thank you. Great. Happy to do my album, my pick. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you didn't, let us know. If you did, let us know. Sonny, Zeus, as always, thanks. Always a great time.
Yeah, great being here, and look forward to Pretty Boy Floyd in a couple of months.
Well,
hey, last thing before we go. Go
ahead.
Football's about to start. Got a favorite?
Yeah, the Pats.
To win it?
Oh, to win the whole Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Unless something changes, it's got to be the Chiefs again. I don't see how anybody's going to knock off the Chiefs. You know?
I'm a Cowboys fan, but I will tell you the Super Bowl is going to be Pittsburgh, New Orleans, with the New Orleans taking it.
Ooh, Pittsburgh.
No joke. I had the Saints too.
Yeah, I could see the Saints representing the NFC, but I just think if Mahomes stays healthy, it's gonna be tough to beat the Chiefs. That team's
the only reason I don't, it's because it's difficult to win again. That's the only reason. But I would probably say the Chiefs should win it, but I just know it's difficult to repeat.
And guys, real quick, don't sleep on the Bucs. I know we're Brady homers here from New England, but that team is offensively loaded. So we'll see what happens with them.
Yep. Peace out, Girl Scout.
We love you!